KOAN. And now, Fagan and Biegel. Fagan and Biegel.
Well, good morning. Good morning to a slick, kind of chilly, snowy morning here in south central Alaska. Second day of December. Dan Fagan here. Ben Biegel.
Man, I've changed my entire name, both first and last.
Can you spell that, Glenn?
That might actually
You know,
be easier.
that's just probably going to stick now. Ben Biegel. That's much better than Glen Biegel.
Well, what did Robbins wanted to call us a Fagel?
Bagel. Actually, that's pretty cute.
Mm-hmm.
I like Began better.
Beacon.
Yeah.
Bacon?
That sounds healthier. Does it not sound healthier?
Yeah.
I used to play tennis with Megan Baldino a lot, and people started calling us Baldano.
That's cute.
I bet that was fun, by the way. Is she
No.
fun to play
She
tennis
played
with?
in
Does she
college.
kick your butt
She played in college.
like she should?
She played in college.
Good for her.
Still fun playing a girl that beats you. Actually, we played doubles more than anything,
Uh-huh.
and we would beat everybody who played.
I'll translate that for everyone. The times that Dan remembers playing her, they played doubles because then he couldn't lose to her. Go
Well,
ahead, Dan.
Well, no, you
They
can't lose
partnered.
to your partner.
Well, I know that, but you forgot all the times that she did smoke you playing singles.
I am not a dishonest person. I have not said that I beat
It's
her.
called selective memory. I'm just translating your
not
selective
denying it.
memory to everyone else.
Where'd she go, by the way? I really like her.
She's working for Shell now.
Oh, okay.
She no, I'm not denying that she smoked me.
Okay.
And can
You
try
said
to
mostly.
humiliate me as a result of my shortcomings, but
All I was
I'm
saying
not
was
denying them.
mostly. You probably got smoked by her. playing
Well,
singles.
every time. There was no mostly. I never beat her.
But
Anything
can
else
she
you
play
wanna rub into
poker?
my So, what did I call him? Beagle
Ben Gleagle.
Ben Biegel. Glen Biegel and Bonnie Cameron are here. They're right over there, both of them. And we're excited about being here in the morning at 6:00 whatever.
He's lying.
Okay. As you
Is
said, I'm
everything
not
you say in the middle of the
No, I am
beginning of the show?
excited to be here. No, I am. And I'll tell you, I have a sense of purpose, a renewed sense of purpose because of our good friend Vince Beltrami.
All right.
Last night, I'm on the Facebook. Anybody ever go on the Facebook?
I'm trying not to anymore.
Really? And, you know, there's a big inauguration day, and there's pictures. And Charisse Millette, who's a good friend of mine, hold on, I hear something. Okay. And she's a great person and a great legislator and just a fine human being. She's on there, and she did a selfie with Shannon Moore. Bonnie's a good friend.
She was responsible for the selfie?
I don't know who initiated it.
Okay. Somebody took a picture of her with because
Well, no, it was a selfie.
So she
it
was
was-
she holding the camera?
I couldn't tell who was holding it,
Okay.
but someone was holding it.
She was in
Either her or
the
Shannon.
vicinity of
She was
Shannon Moore.
Trying to prove that it's all about unity.
Listen, I'm not. Let me tell you something.
Oh.
If Shannon Moore wanted to come up and take a selfie with me, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh.
I'm not like Anand Dubé. You don't shake hands.
Okay.
I don't play the game.
All right.
We're all human beings. We're all, you know, I don't hate people because they're different than me.
Okay.
Okay? So,
Arrange that, by the way, Bonnie.
Shannon,
Shannon's fun to hang out with.
she is. I've had dinner with her on a number of occasions, frankly.
I actually liked her column on Sunday.
So Shannon and Charisse Miller take a selfie. And then Vince Beltrami has a little thing on the bottom he writes. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, this is the message that you and Bonnie and I are going to have to deal with and counter daily. And Beltrami simply said 2 words: Alaskans first. And here's the message: it's us against them. If you don't join with us, you're with the oil companies, and you're not an Alaska first person. It is such a seductive message.
Mm.
And they're going to pound it and pound it and pound it and pound it. And it is the most negative of messages. Because what the three of us believe is that there is a win-win available to all Alaskans. You don't have to hate the oil industry to be an Alaskan. You can actually embrace their presence, embrace their investments, work with them, and still love Alaska with every ounce of your heart. And there's the battleground. Now, I was thinking about Bill Walker. And this scares me more than anything. Because Bill Walker does not have that acid, vitriolic tone to his message like Beltrami and the rest of the Backbone people. I don't get that from him.
Mm-hmm.
But yet he has immersed himself in their cause. Which makes me think either he's so diabolical, he understands what a poisonous message it is, and for self-gain and self-preservation, he's not going to speak it himself, but he's going to advance it. Or he doesn't believe it. Either way, we'll know. But that's the mandate for those of us who are not a part of the Alaska First crowd.
Well, I think when we fought out Prop 1, which we did here recently, and it won barely, 53-47 type of thing, I think you're right that there are probably some people who voted no on Prop 1 or whatever, voted yes on Prop 1 and meant to vote no. But I think that kind of settled the Alaska First message, because I voted Alaskans first, not government first, but Alaskans first in voting no on going back to Senate bill, on going back to ACES. So I voted Alaskans first. So
jobs and opportunity.
Jobs and opportunity. I really, we are going to find out what Alaska looks like without government. Now, the media, by the way, is going to freak out because government is not as big as it used to be. They're going to tell every sob story. They're going to tell every sad situation. They will never, ever tell when one Alaskan helps another out of the goodness of their heart. They're not going to tell you about it. They're not going to show you that, but it's going to go on every single day. So just trust me I think we settled the Alaskans first. I agree with you totally. That is going to be their message. If you're either on the side of let's get them, or you're on the side of non-Alaskans first.
There's no such thing as a win-win in their mind.
In their mind, we have not won. We've gotten screwed, right?
And we're continually
getting screwed. So, and it's not that they're against oil companies. I believe they're against oil company profits is probably what they're going to, producer profits. That's what they're going to say. But the fact is, we don't live in a communist society. I think they would like to live in one, and that's kind of my tingle sense. That's what I'm looking for, because I'm looking for the end game. If you don't want oil company investment here, that means you don't want new jobs and you don't want new processing. The end game of that is what? The state runs the oil companies, I think. I think that's what their end game is. So I'm always looking for sort of the communist bent and socialist bent to people on the other side of this issue. But I agree with you. I think that is a great review, and that is Alaska First does not mean that there's a win-win. That does not mean that they should take one dime of profit out of Alaska. They have to leave it all here. They got to give it all back.
569-1080. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, KOAN, KVNT, 614. KOAN, KVNT, 614.
Cross, Brother Francis Shelter, and Donaldson's Winter Gear.
You know what was the #1 gift Alaskans sent to their relatives for Christmas last year? Well, if you said Alaska King Crab, you're right on. Last year, New Sagaya sent over 20,000 pounds of king crab to Alaskan friends and relatives outside. That's more than 10 tons. New Sagaya makes it so easy. For just $165, New Sagaya sends 5 pounds of extra large Golden King crab legs anywhere in the continental United States. And that includes UPS next day air delivery. And New Sagaya does it right for you. The big crab legs and claws all boxed in a styrofoam box with dry ice and gel ice. It's guaranteed to arrive in perfect condition. But you'll want to avoid the rush as much as you can, so call right now. New Sagaya will program your delivery for whatever day you specify. Just call 1-800-764-1001. The King Crab Festival for just $165. From New Sagaya, 1-800-764-1001. Or order on the web from newsagaya.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-319-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-319-MY-TV.
Just $24.99. What are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-319-MY-TV. That's 877-319-MY-TV.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569-1080. KOAN. Fagan and Biegel, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT.
6:17 in the morning. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, by Cameron on KOAN, KVNT. Welcome on this kind of snow. It wasn't really snowing coming in, but it obviously snowed overnight. I know last night they was talking about icy conditions, an ice storm or something, but I guess that didn't materialize. I guess it snowed, at least in South Central.
I think the valley is getting it pretty bad.
They're getting it bad.
Yeah.
If you're driving in from the valley, give us a call. 569-1080.
I heard all-weather tires are like death traps, that they're not good winter tires. I heard there's winter tires, all-weather tires, and snow tires. So
I think I have the all-season.
you have all season?
Yeah.
You have a four-wheel drive car, though.
Pretty much what I always use, though.
So
all
unless
season.
it, like, rained and then froze on the ground, you'd probably be okay.
Although I did want to get those Blizzak tires. Have you heard of those?
Yeah, have you ever driven on them?
No, but they sound really cool.
Yeah, it's like you're driving on a little sucker machine.
Right.
Where it goes,
Oh, they actually sound that way.
yeah, that's basically the way that it feels, like your tires are actually
Gripping.
literally grabbing onto the road, and when you drive, you have to pull the tire off the road as it rotates around.
So does that hurt my speed?
I don't know. That's the way it feels. It's the funniest kind of rubber. Yeah, it's like silly putty or something.
That sounds neat. I heard they're expensive, but
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to try them sometime.
I wanted to get Bonnie's reaction. We were talking in the last segment about there was a picture on Facebook with Sharice Millett, state representative, now majority leader in the House, doing a selfie with Shannon Moore, hard leftist columnist, and Vince Beltrami, head of the unions, the AFL-CIO, and really most of the unions in the state, went on there and put a caption, Alaskan first, and to me that shows what a lot of people supporting Walker are about. It's us against them. The oil companies, but producers in particular. If they win, we lose. If we win, they lose. And that's kind of, if you don't realize that, you're not an Alaska first person. You agree with that, Bonnie?
Well, in my experience,
But that's their message. Not that you agree with it.
my experience with unions, when especially any union person says anything first, or if he's saying Alaskans first, what he really means is only if you're in the union. It's just like when we worked for the post office and would refuse to join a union. The guys would go around and call each other brother, and
There's a lot of brotherhood.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But if you weren't in the union, you were ostracized and left out purposefully, and
if you would cross
very
the brotherhood,
juvenile. Yes.
if you would cross the picket line, you were a scab.
Yes, it was very juvenile, and I don't know. It seems like you're in elementary school trying to join a club or something.
One of the most dramatic radio shows I've ever been a part of. We had Kirsten Listufka on as a guest co-host with me, and it was the Airplane Pilots Union, and they actually went to the home an airplane pilot mechanics union, and they went to the home of one of the mechanics who crossed the picket line, and they started harassing the guy's family. Literally, when they came out of the house, they'd start yelling at his kids and his wife. It was one of the most despicable things I've ever seen. And we ended up calling the head of the union. Of course, he wouldn't take our call, but literally, they went to the people's house.
It's like a legal mafia.
It really was. It was a mob of mechanics, and they started. The little kid was in the front yard. They started yelling at the kid, "Your dad's a scab!" and all. It was unbelievable.
That's fine. All you have to do is look at pictures of Detroit, and
Yeah.
you'll know how it turns out.
569-1080. Let's go to Steve. Steve, you're on.
Morning, Dan. You
Morning.
wanted a road report?
Yes, sir.
It's snowing and 27 in the valley, and then about Peters Creek, it turns into rain.
So where is that? Where you are right now?
No, I made it to town already.
Oh, okay. So once you get by Peters Creek, it starts raining, huh?
Yep.
Does it get slick?
It's been slick all the way in. I watched a couple trucks fishtail and almost go in the ditch, but they survived.
And what about the traffic flow?
There's still some crazies out there doing 65, but
Wow.
50, 55 is not a problem.
My goodness. Thank you, Steve.
All righty, guys. Have a good day.
Appreciate that report. 569-1080. Dan, what can you report?
He wanted to report the same thing.
Yeah, he hung up.
Oh, okay. That's it.
You know, somebody told me, a trooper told me, that the most dangerous thing on Alaska roads are four-wheel drive trucks driving around in two-wheel drive. As soon as the snow falls, you should switch over to four-wheel drive, and you should leave it in four-wheel drive.
No, the big rigs.
For any truck that's four-wheel drive.
Oh, so you're talking about like a
Pickup
Ford
truck.
F-150?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the most dangerous thing. Is people drive around, they think, well, I got this big, heavy truck. I don't really have to worry about whether or not it's in four-wheel drive. That's wrong. And he said it's particularly dangerous over bridges.
Because they're slicker.
Because they're slicker, they get cold much faster. You know, they react to weather.
And they have that,
Right.
There's not much weight in the back end because they're usually not full.
Yeah. Yeah, people just drive them around. Oh, I got a four-wheel drive truck, and when they say that, I think it translates in their mind to my four-wheel drive was like magically there, even if I don't turn it on. But you need to turn that on, and that could save your life. I mean, he just reported 2 trucks.
So turn the four-wheel on?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need, as soon as snow flies, you have to turn your four-wheel drive on, always, and leave it on.
Mine's always, you don't turn it on or off.
Yeah, you have all-wheel drive, which
Yeah.
is different. All-wheel drive, you don't turn it on and off.
Right.
Yeah, like with my dad's
That's not
truck, you actually have to get out and lock the hubcaps.
Lock the hubs.
Yeah.
Is it a 1985
no,
or so?
I mean it's it's like a 2004, but
Oh,
it's
wow.
a Ford, yeah.
Huh.
You can't do that while you're driving. You have to pull over.
Yeah, and lock it. And
I
so
wouldn't
it's
recommend doing it.
Very
Unless you're Indiana
intimidating.
Jones.
Yeah. I had a 1980 where you had to do that. I didn't know they made those stuff.
Yeah, he was like, you have to lock the hubs, be sure, and it's a big old stick shift, and it's very intimidating, but it's kind of fun to drive.
Well, whatever you drive, be careful out there because it is slick. And the roads are not conducive for speeding.
Well, you're in Alaska. Slow down.
Slow down. 569-1080, 569-1080. So, that's my main point this morning on the idea of whether we should, because it's a great message. It's Alaska first, and it was mentioned several times in the in really the AFN convention, the Alaska Federation of Natives Convention, kind of carried over into the inauguration yesterday. Rise as One was their big thing, and so there's this unity thing going on, and unity's great, unity's wonderful, and unity's very powerful. But
Because it doesn't exist, and we have no examples of it.
Well, no.
Other than after 2001, September 11, 2001. That was an example of unity. We stopped our political bickering, but we were just looking for safety at that point.
Yes.
And I was trying to think this morning, who could run as president and vice president as a unity ticket? What would that be? Because it seems to work and seems to resonate with people, so maybe we could get a Republican president in there by...
Unfortunately, I don't know why this is. I think it's probably because the media, but the last example we had of unity in Alaska prior to this ticket was the Senate bipartisan coalition, which was a Democratic big spending left-wing coalition.
Who shut down every bill from the other house.
Yeah,
they were not interested in anybody else's information.
Zero compromise.
Yeah, zero.
So, and it appears, though we can't say this for sure, and it's premature to say it, and I almost feel bad saying it, but it appears that the people that Mr. Walker is surrounding himself with will end up being the same type of animal. Unity.
I don't agree with that.
Well, I don't know. Oh, you don't think? You think there's people in his...
I don't know what to make of him. I have actually...
You hear what I said?
Okay.
I said it appears by the people he surrounded himself with.
Marty Rutherford. And...
Yeah. I mean, I've not seen one appointment I thought, oh, wow, how's that going to work in that with all those other appointees? And so, I may be wrong, but I know that with the bipartisan coalition in the Senate, and it happens the same way in Washington, D.C., people like Lindsey Graham and John McCain, who are sometimes touted as unity Republicans, that's just because they go left wing.
Yes.
It's left, and we saw a column the other day, or a headline of the day in the Daily News, or the Alaska Dispatch News. If you go a little left wing, all of a sudden you're unity. If you go conservative, you're anti-Alaskan.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, the first thing to establish is that Vince Beltrami only means one thing whenever he talks. Unions first.
Mm-hmm.
Anti-oil. They can't take any of our money out of the state. He only means one thing. So this is an easy translation. He could say, oh, the sky's blue today. Translation for him, somebody has screwed something up. We have to go get them. Get on board, boys, and let's fire up the engines.
And let me tell you his language, because it's very precise. Working Alaska families is what unions... You're right. He means unions first.
Yeah.
But he'll say working Alaska families.
Right. And so you have to understand, when he says Alaska first, that's what he means. He doesn't mean anything else. There's no second translation. There's no other option for what Vince Beltrami is saying. And what's dangerous here is a lot of other people mean a lot of different things. They don't mean Vince Beltrami's message. Because he's much more powerful than you are, he will adopt your message. He will, what do you call it when you take over somebody's message? When you well, not adopt, but basically hijack, yeah. He'll hijack your message. So you'll say Alaskans first, and you might be saying we all need to work together. It's going to be hard times. We have to take care of each other. We're not going to have as much government. You may mean exactly what I'm saying. But that's not what he means, and what he means is going to be, and this is what Dan's concern is, what he means by Alaska first, which is it's us and them, and you're with them. You're not for Alaska. You're not for Alaskans first. You're not for Alaska at all. You're with them. That's what he means when he says that, and what Dan's concern is, since he's much more powerful than the average person, his interpretation of it will be forwarded by the media, and that will win out.
Well, I think it's Alice Rogoff's message, too. It was Wally Hickle's message. It's been the Backbone message. It was Sarah Palin's message. It's the people Bill Walker surrounds himself with message. I've not heard Walker make it yet. Hopefully, that gives me hope. We'll see. We'll see. But it is a clearly negative message. If you don't believe in the existence of a win-win, you cannot have a relationship with the big oil. We need to just kick
with anyone. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You can't have a relationship with anyone. A spouse, a child.
629.
Biegel. Give him a call. 569-1080. KOAN.
Considerable cloudiness throughout the day today, with snow showers accumulating an inch or two, bringing the storm total snowfall amount to 1 to 3 inches. High today 35. Then tonight, partly cloudy with a low 23. For tomorrow, partial sunshine with a high 26 and a low tomorrow night of 19. Thursday, a partly sunny day with a high 28. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
After a hard day at work and then shopping for the holidays, the last thing you want to do is slave over a hot stove. Well, don't worry about it. Relief from this hectic time of year is just a jingle away. Call 333-8000 and ring in the holidays with the Sicily Season Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. So relax and let Sicily's deliver hot, fresh, delicious pizza, pasta, calzones, wings, and salads right to your door. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Call 333-8000 and ask for the Season's Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. For the only 24-hour-a-day delivery in Alaska, call 333-8000 or save 20% by ordering online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's. Wishing you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
Best Split Firewood can deliver split firewood to your house today. And if you live in Anchorage, delivery is free. Wait, what did I just say? Delivery is free if you live in Anchorage. Wow, that's cool. Okay, back to the commercial. Best Split Firewood. Call now, 727-5928. That's 727-5928 and get 2 bundles of starter sticks with your order. Hold on, 2 bundles of starter sticks and free delivery in Anchorage? That's way cool. Best Split Firewood will deliver mostly all birch split and ready for your fireplace or wood stove, no matter how much you need. A quarter, half, or full cord. They have the best firewood in the city, and they'll even mix in some spruce if you ask for it. And don't worry if you just need a couple of bundles. Best Split Firewood has them wrapped and ready to go at half of what you would pay anywhere else in the city. Best Split Firewood. Call today for free delivery in Anchorage and 2 bundles of starter sticks. 727-5928. That's 727-5928.
Visit their new location at 2000 East 68th Avenue in Anchorage.
Trail Boss Solutions is your local award-winning, nationally recognized construction and remodel firm. From handyman services to kitchen design and remodel to custom home construction, Trail Boss Solutions has the experienced professionals to take your project from initial design through completion, on time and on budget. Trail Boss Solutions is the only call for all your construction, design, and remodel needs. Please visit us on the web at trailboss-solutions.com or contact Trail Boss Solutions direct at 646-1403.
Local news, weather, and the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Show on Hot Talk. KOAN. Brought to you by Connect Country Liquor. With 4 convenient locations in the Valley and Talkeetna, you won't find a better selection.
When I grew up, I want to be a pro basketball player.
An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian.
A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Do you remember that Beatles song? If the rain comes, they'll run and hide their heads. You know which one I'm talking about. Well, if that's you and you're inside your home or office, it's time to call Earhart Roofing. Call Earhart Roofing for all your roofing needs. Flat or pitched, large or small, Earhart Roofing will do the job quickly, and they'll do it right. Earhart Roofing, big enough to serve you and still small enough to care. Call 345-5555. That's 345-5555. Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com.
The 5th annual Pump Up the Kids. Did you know that we have...
6:34 on the 2nd day of December. Moving right along. Winter's moving right along. Dan Fagan here, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. We're on KOAN, KVNT, also streaming on danfagan.us. You know, while the drop in oil prices are going to cause some heartache here in Alaska, some say, I don't know, I'm not convinced, but there's certainly good news for the rest of the globe that are not, obviously not good news for oil-producing countries, but for those, oil is everything. It infiltrates every aspect of the economy, and it's going to really have a boost for our economy. We're talking about, well, here's what the Washington Post is reporting. Price of oil has declined about 40% since mid-June when it peaked, and then plunged last week after the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries voted to continue to pump at the same rate. This is that continued a trend that's driven by a weak global economy and expanding U.S. domestic energy supplies. The question facing investors is how low will oil go and for how long. Every day, American motorists are saving $630 million on gasoline compared with what they pay at June prices. That's amazing. Every day, $630 million. That's $630 million that Americans get to keep that they didn't get to keep in June.
Well, that's a dollar. That's a dollar per gallon less
every day
than it was.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I would be interested in? What percentage of Alaskans get more benefit from a $2 drop in gas prices than they do from any amount of government spending other than the permanent
But
fund
it's
dividend?
more than just a $2. Milk's cheaper. Meat's cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Bread's cheaper. Wood's cheaper. An airplane ticket's cheaper. Everything's cheaper. It's not just the gas pump.
No, it's great point. Absolutely. And that's what I would be fascinated to know, because I'm one of the people who I don't use government, right? I get a permanent fund check, and I suppose that if you were going to take that away, that would be a big deal. But I don't need government. I don't use government. I don't want government. I don't, the less government, the better. It doesn't make any difference to me as long as we can. They let us take care of the people who need it. But I would be interested in what percentage of Alaskans actually will do better because of lower gas, food, energy, housing, whatever. I mean, because of lower prices, travel prices. I bet it's 50%. I bet 50% of Alaskans, maybe not, maybe it's probably 30%, because 50% of Alaskans probably get a check from the government, the state government some way.
Well, and maybe if we drove more and we could drive, to multiple states from here, like they can down in the States, you can drive from state to state and do a lot of traveling and sightseeing. It would affect me more personally, but I don't see how it will. I mean, I'm still going to do my day-to-day things that I always do.
You don't operate 4 cars.
That's
like
true.
My family does.
We have one.
We were paying like $1,000. Could it have been $1,000 a month for gas?
Yeah,
for a
that
while.
could be.
If these prices that we're experiencing now stay this way through June, that'd be a full year. That's going to mean $230 billion windfall to the economy.
Yeah.
That's real money. The vast majority of that will flow into the economy, according to the Washington Post.
So they're saying that it will get
2%
spent
of the economy,
elsewhere.
by the way.
It just
Yeah. What's that?
They're saying it will get spent elsewhere. It's not like people are going to save it.
Well, they say low-income household living on tighter budgets likely to use the money to spend it on groceries, clothing, and other things.
TVs.
Flat screen TVs.
TVs. And TVs and more TVs.
$2.77 a gallon is what the average price is right now, according to AAA.
It sure does help a family though during these, Christmas season and stuff.
Yeah.
Because we've been there and things have been tight during Christmas, and it's so difficult to say, well, I have to afford gas, but it's Christmas, my kids want toys, or whatever.
For every penny the price of jet fuel declines, Delta Airlines saves $40 million.
Wow.
People have no idea how intricate the price of oil and gas is to our economy and how important it is.
Well, and I was going to say, do they pass that on to the passengers, or do they just kind of keep things high and keep
because
the
of
profit?
competition. Yeah, I mean they're always competing with each other. So if Southwest says, hey, we're going to undercut Delta's fare, use this $40 million savings we just got because the price of fuel dropped a penny, and Delta doesn't follow, then Southwest will go. So yeah, competition drives price.
Can you imagine if there was a monopoly in planes, like in plane, airline
There
companies?
used to be.
There
There
did.
actually used to be certain legs were only traveled by one or two carriers.
Wow.
Only the wealthy were able to fly at one point.
Well, that's true because Alaska is just now starting to, see a lot of the smaller airlines,
Yep.
JetBlue and I'm not Southwest.
Now, there was
but
a day when if you were going to get on an airplane, you had to
That'd
put
be
on a
nice.
suit,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Yeah.
would go hang out with the rich people.
we used to drive out every other year to go visit my grandparents down in New Mexico, and my mom hated flying, so we would literally drive the Alcan all the way down
Every
to New
year?
Mexico every other year.
Oh, every other year.
Every other year, my dad would usually drive us down, fly back, and leave me and my mom. And
What great times those were. Weren't they great?
It was a lot of fun.
I remember my trips down the Alcan.
I can never imagine doing that though. Every other year now.
Oh,
you just
boy,
fly and get
brutal.
there, and
that by the way, that's an indication of how much more wealthy compared to today's people your parents were.
yes.
Because people can't just get up and leave. First of all, you couldn't possibly afford to drive the Alcan. I mean, how much would that even cost in gas money? It'd be ridiculous. Secondly, we live so much closer to that edge where we can't afford to pay for anything.
Mhm.
Food, our energy costs, we just can't afford it. So the idea that we could even go on a trip or send the kids down to here or there for that amount of time, it's such a different world that our kids, and that we are growing up, but our kids certainly are going to feel much, much more strongly. They're going to have 2 incomes. They're going to have 2 incomes for all 12 months of the year.
Yes.
It's not going to have. There are not going to be a lot of vacations. It's just not going to be a lot of extra.
I disagree. I don't think we're taking into account the wonderment and the miracle of technology. I saw a report the other day, and I don't remember it was a publication put out by the Friedman Foundation. Yeah, they're the school choice people, right?
Yeah, good group. Mm-hmm.
And there was this school, I don't remember where it was, but it was literally rows and rows and rows of kids on computers.
Yeah, it's in Arizona.
Okay, well, so you know about it.
Sure.
And the concept was the kid would get in front of the computer every day, and there really weren't teachers. There were instructors who would work more like they were more customer service oriented.
Yeah, there were tutors basically.
Tutors.
Whenever a child needed something,
Yeah.
one teacher for every 50 students.
That's it. And so what would happen is, as a student would go through the computer program and learn the material, if they got stuck, if they got caught up, one of the tutors would come along and move the child along. And the outcome from this school was so off the chart compared to anything we're doing in public schools right now. That's technology. And we're going to see technology. You know, the one place that technology has not taken hold is in the public education system.
I just wrote 2 posts on this just the other day.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
So, I understand that we're spending our kids' future. I understand that there's a lot of negative factors affecting our country right now. But technology is changing the mind of the average American on abortion. When you see the little baby in the ultrasound and you hear the little heartbeat, you can't possibly look at that and say it's not alive. I believe technology is going to change us for the better.
Yes, but what he's saying is, from what I think, is that people are going to have to start working more to pay for others' needs, right?
Oh, because so many people don't want to work.
Yes.
Yeah, but
life in America is not for the young anymore. It's for the middle-aged, the old, and
well, I have a thought
certainly
on
not
that
for
too.
kids.
I have a thought on that too, and it has to do with the internet, actually. 644, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. Stay with us. Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. Stay with us.
Talk KOAN and online at 1080KOAN.com.
Being
Being a business owner isn't easy. There's managing people, customers, income, expenses, unexpected issues, growing your brand, and so much more. Ready to be more efficient in everything you do? Then listen to Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Each week, David gives you the inside scoop on the latest business news and trends, along with tools for keeping your business on track. Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 a.m.
You know what was the #1 gift Alaskans sent to their relatives for Christmas last year? Well, if you said Alaska king crab, you're right on. Last year, New Sagaya sent over 20,000 pounds of king crab to Alaskan friends and relatives outside. That's more than 10 tons. New Sagaya makes it so easy. For just $165, New Sagaya sends 5 pounds of extra large golden king crab legs anywhere in the continental United States. And that includes UPS next day air delivery. And New Sagaya does it right for you. The big crab legs and claws all boxed in a styrofoam box with dry ice and gel ice. It's guaranteed to arrive in perfect condition. But you'll want to avoid the rush as much as you can, so call right now. New Sagaya will program your delivery for whatever day you specify. Just call 1-800-764-1001. The King Crab Festival for just $165. From New Sagaya, 1-800-764-1001. Or order on the web from newsagaya.com.
Hey, if you think all you need to know about beer is how to pop the top off the can, go to worldclassbeer.com. There's a whole world of beer out there, and worldclassbeer.com can help you navigate it. Learn the difference between an ale and a lager at Beer U. Get descriptions of all the craft beers and learn why they're so different. And when you see one you'd like to try, the Beer Spy Locator can direct you to the closest store. Worldclassbeer.com, designed to help you get closer to your beer. Brought to you by the Odom Corporation. Always drink responsibly.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk. 727-5928. Visit their new 80KOAN.com.
All right, the Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, KOAN, KVNT. Our number 569-1080, 569-1080. We're talking about the future, and Glenn made the point that we're already there, that young people who, the days of, in the 50s, of dad going to work, mom staying home.
Dad working 8 hours a day.
Dad working 8 hours a day, mom staying home all day.
They take a vacation, two vacations a lot of times every year. They get to drive out and see family for a couple of weeks, and they fly off to Hawaii.
Okay, I'm sensing a little bit of
they fly off to Hawaii, exactly.
Bitterness here.
Well, I don't know that in the 50s the average American got to fly to Hawaii.
I don't know.
But they certainly got to drive to their nearest beach, probably.
Sure.
I mean, that's
a family, and you know, I mean, look, they weren't operating that close, to the edge of the knife.
Paycheck to paycheck might have still been in play, but it wasn't.
They say, I think 30% of people in Alaska have less than $250 in the bank, I think is what I just read.
Less than 30%?
30% of Alaskans have less than $250 in the bank.
70% have more.
Yeah.
I would think it'd be opposite of that. I would flip that.
You think 70% of Alaskans have less?
I would hope so, because 70% of Alaskans get welfare checks. They better not have to.
Now look, those guys got more money than I do. They're getting more food.
But when I look at the future, and I look at the internet, which, by the way, can be a sewer.
Mm-hmm.
It can be an absolute
sewer. Well, it is a sewer, but you can decide not to swim in it.
Exactly. But for kids, for 14-year-old boys, or, just coming into puberty, you got to watch that like a hawk, right? We agree on that?
Net Nanny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, is that a software program?
Yes.
Yeah, well.
Or something like it, yeah, for sure.
But anyway, I really think technology is going to revolutionize our culture. Now, we self-governing without self-discipline will never work. You cannot ignore values and morals and have a successful society. You can't disregard the sanctity of life. You cannot throw away marriage as an institution. All this stuff that we're doing now, we will not survive any of that. But I do believe technology, if we get that straight, I do believe technology can undo a lot of the mess that we have now. My nephew, who's 17, who's brilliant, he sends me these videos that he watches on the internet, and they're just amazing. There was one video that sent me that you can. This it's scientifically proven. The way you sit in a meeting says everything about your confidence level, and it just absolutely changed the way I sit in a meeting. The video basically said that if you sit kind of all in, your arms are in, everything, you're small, you lack confidence. If you sit like this with your arms out, you gain confidence, and you are perceived as confident. And they did a study with like thousands of people in the interview process. And it was overwhelming evidence that people who sat like this with their arms out, spread out, got the job. And people who sat in like this, kind of folded in with their head, did not get the job.
Maybe they were just cold.
Whatever.
No, it's absolutely true. And, I just went through an interview process, and I do wonder though whether or not you should have your arms out or whether or not you should have your arms natural.
Natural. I don't mean
okay.
You look natural.
Yeah, you don't want to be like domineering.
Right.
But he sends me videos like this all the time, and they're so fascinating. Now, most 17-year-olds, when I was 17, would never have any exposure to this kind of stuff. So what that does is it gives you a taste for excellence.
He's thinking ahead.
Well, it gives you a taste for excellence. You want more knowledge. You want more information. My nephew was so hungry to learn. And the public school monopoly is not meeting his needs. Well, he doesn't go to public schools. But if he did, they wouldn't be meeting his needs. And that's why I believe the public school system will eventually fail. And the unions, while they do control politicians like Liesl McGuire and all the Democrats, eventually this thing's going to have to crumble.
Well, I think it's going to crumble in the next 3 years. I do believe
in Alaska.
Yeah, because right now it's a $1.4 billion. I mean, we theoretically, if oil stays at $60 a barrel, 65, maybe even 70, we'll only be spending $2.8 billion. You can't spend $1.4 billion of that on an antiquated, not very productive.
Union.
He just may not have the ability to do it. I guess that's my point. At some point, we all have to face. Unions have stayed out of the mix for as long as I've ever seen anybody do it. They don't have to face the reality that they're paid 2 and 3 times as much as the normal person would be for doing their job. They haven't had to face that. We don't pay people who dispatch police $160 or $170 or $180,000 a year. There's no reason for that other than the fact that you hired your boss and you're stealing from the rest of us. You are stealing from the rest of us by hiring your boss. That can't go on forever. That kind of stuff has to stop because the rest of us who didn't get a raise for 4 or 5 years, right, who are living much closer than they are to reality, they're going to have to bow down to reality, and that's just the way it's got to be. So I think education is the same way. It's too expensive. It's particularly ridiculous in Alaska. They actually literally fly people from one town to another so that they can go to school every day. You just can't do that.
Have you seen the budget for the Anchorage School District of the taxi cab?
It's like $1 million, right?
It's ridiculous. I don't remember the number, but if you let's say you live with your parents in one part of town, and you decide you want to go live with your grandpa in another part of town, in another school district, the school district will come send a taxi cab to your house every day, take you to your old school, and at the end of the day, take you to your grandpa's house.
No.
Every day.
No, it's true. And this is a good indication here that why Uber is going to win, because they could just say we're going to save the school district $120,000 with Uber.
What happened to if you don't live within your school?
That's the
then
law
why
now.
don't we have school choice then? What's the big deal?
Well, for kids who are quote homeless,
right?
Yeah,
they get a automatic boundary exemption, and they can go to whatever school that they like, whatever school makes them feel comfortable. Basically, that's the rule. Isn't that fancy?
I never heard that.
And it only cost us $1 million.
That lit up the phones on my old show.
Wow.
I remember that day very well.
I've never heard that. So it's not new. That's not a new thing.
This was about 8 years ago. We had a taxi cab guy on for the district, and he was a disaster. Trying to justify it.
Yeah.
I don't even think that. I wouldn't even think that would be safe. Like that's a huge liability to be sending kids in taxi cabs, and of course they're highly regulated, so maybe that's okay.
Anyway, but I think the revolution has come to education in Alaska. I think not because performance, not because people are worried about losing their cultural values because teachers union and employees don't necessarily have the same cultural values as you, not because you're sick and tired of the school board telling you what math program you're going to use and it's a total disaster and they never used it anywhere else, not because any of the rational reasons, totally because money. We're just flatly out of money to keep this monopoly rolling along, merrily along, and we're going to have to do something about it. So I think it's going to happen right now.
Well, would you agree, though, that when it begins to unravel, it will be because the teachers' unions cease to control school boards across the country? Because that's their stranglehold. They control the boards. The boards hire the superintendents. The superintendents back the unions. And everybody's, greasing each other's palms.
And they are not as powerful here. The school boards, are not as powerful here in the teachers' union because we actually have statewide districts. You can participate in the Galena School District through their IDEA program with no difficulty whatsoever. There's actually 4 or 5 different schools that you could enroll in here in the Anchorage School District from within the Anchorage School District that are not located here.
Well, our
school board has no control over them.
No, but I'm talking about in Anchorage, because we don't have districts, it's all at large. You don't have a Eagle River School Board member, a downtown school board member.
Right.
So you have to have a ton of money.
Well, you're saying we have to go through the school board. I'm saying that we accomplished some of it by going statewide. And so we didn't have to worry about the school boards. You're saying the only way it'll change is with school boards. I'm saying it could change at the state level.
No,
it changed that way in Arizona.
I'm saying won't that start it though? Because as long as the school board's controlled by the union,
we'll never win the school board ever. Not ever. Not in a million years. Not in a billion years.
So
never.
How will you negate the power of the school board?
You just ignore them. You create school-wide districts, or you just have the money follow the child, and then the school board doesn't have power over your child.
I see. Take the money away.
We have to bypass the Anchorage School Board and the Anchorage School District and the teachers union because they don't understand.
So you empower the parent.
Yeah. You empower the parent and you give the child the money rather than give the teachers union the money and then they figure out which schools get it.
And you're telling me that Bill, I Love Unions Walker, is going to go against the teachers union and bring about school choice?
I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that he doesn't have enough money to keep doing what he's doing. It's necessity. You can't continue to spend this amount of money because there are people on welfare, because we need troopers, because we need road maintenance. I mean, there are a lot of things that he has to do. Can you imagine if there were, I don't know, foot-wide potholes all the way up and down the Glen Highway, what people would say about his administration? It wouldn't make any difference what the schools were because people would be dying on the streets all the time and they couldn't get to work. At that point, school's out the window. Look, pal, if you don't fix my road, not only are you not going to be governor next time, I'm going to come down to Juneau and rip you out of that seat. So, I mean, there are realities for what Alaska's going to have to do. We're just going to be out of money. And so all the frivolous spending, all the, the cab stuff that they do here in town, all of this is going to be second guessed. It's going to be questioned.
This is not going to happen in the next 4 years.
It's going to happen in the next year if conservatives in the next year is what I want to go. I'm trying to go make a presentation to United for Liberty that, look, right now, this day, 2 days, it's that serious. It's that serious of a threat. That's when the process will get started. Actually, Tom Fink started it last year, but I think it's going to continue.
658.
Started actually. Tom.
After a hard day at work and then shopping for the holidays, the last thing you want to do is slave over a hot stove. Well, don't worry about it. Relief from this hectic time of year is just a jingle away. Call 333-8000 and ring in the holidays with the Sicily Season Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. So relax and let Sicily's deliver hot, fresh, delicious pizza, pasta, calzones, wings, and salads right to your door. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Call 333-8000 and ask for the Season's Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. For the only 24-hour-a-day delivery in Alaska, call 333-8000 or save 20% by ordering online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's. Wishing you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
KOAN Anchorage. It's not just talk, it's hot talk. 95.1 FM, 1080 AM.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony, defending his boss.
The reality is that, for decades, presidents have used executive authority to enhance immigration policy.
The head of Homeland Security facing Republicans who think the president went too far at a House hearing. Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, Secretary Jay Johnson is answering questions about whether President Obama has the legal authority to shield millions of illegal immigrants from deportation. Republican Michael McCall pointed out in the past the president said he could not act alone.
Who should we believe? The president before the election who said he didn't have legal authority to take this action? Or the president after the election?
Secretary Johnson said legal experts concluded they're acting within the law. He also said there will not be a surge in illegal immigration because the executive actions promote border security. Dave?
Now, Rachel, Speaker John Boehner says the House will go on record against the president's immigration actions. Republicans planning a vote of a resolution of a disapproval, looming larger the need to pass new government funding beyond December 11th. Captured in Lebanon.
She's believed to be one of the wives of ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi.
Now, he's the leader of the ISIS terrorist army. One of his children was reportedly with the woman. Fox's John Huddy's in our Middle East Bureau.
This was part of an intelligence operation in coordination with other foreign intelligence agencies. We still don't know much about the woman, in particular why she tried to get into Lebanon.
They could be used as bargaining chips to release some 30 Lebanese soldiers and cops held hostage by ISIS militants. With Americans paying less at the gas pump, we're buying more trucks and pickups and SUVs, driving auto sales higher. Chrysler's rose 20% last month. GM's gain was 6%. Toyota and Volkswagen also sold more vehicles, but Ford went into reverse. Its November sales fell about 2%. On Wall Street, the Dow's up about 50 points. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
You've been thinking about switching to solar. Don't wait much longer or you'll miss out on this year's federal tax credit. Move quickly because the tide is turning. Solar power is becoming a threat to big energy profits. In fact, some power companies are even pushing for extra fees to make up for lost revenue. Warning, you must have your solar system up and running by midnight December 31st or you'll miss out on this year's federal tax credit. Energy prices are expected to increase by as much as 40% in the near future. Go solar now with no down payment, interest, or payments for a whole year. You can afford it because we finance. Get your government money and save big every month. Big Energy is getting nervous and the door of opportunity is about to slam shut. Paying $150 a month or more on energy bills? Then call 1-800-MY-SOLAR now for a free in-home assessment. 1-800-MY-SOLAR.
My home, my savings, 1-800-MY-SOLAR.
The highway, a strip of asphalt to carry you between points A and B. But in an all-new 2015 Mercedes-Benz GLA, there is no point B. Because when you're driving a GLA from Mercedes-Benz, you're not concerned with the destination, only the adventure. With off-road transmission mode and a sleek design, this SUV performs with confident style on any terrain. And no matter where your adventure takes you, the all-new GLA's sporty, expressive styling fits in, yet stands out, complementing the many sides of you. See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer today and see the world differently in a GLA 250 4MATIC, starting at $33,300.
MSRP for a 2015 GLA 250 4MATIC excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
Mark your calendars. It's time for the 15th annual Guns N' Hoses charity hockey game, where Anchorage Fire and Police face off against Alaska Military at the Sullivan Arena. Cheer on Alaska's finest. Sunday, December 7th. There will be tons of fun for the whole family. Free pony rides and face painting. Visit with Santa and see the holiday fire truck. Say hi to Star the reindeer. Shoot to win a new car. The puck drops at 4. Come on down to the Sullivan Arena. Sunday, December 7th at 4. And cheer on your favorite team.
When I grew up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve. which is why your local country financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth.
I thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years.
I get scared at the dentist.
Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist for Dr. Kiley.
I know it's
Current interest rates are still very low in comparison to previous loan rates.
Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com. Call him at 562-9209.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel.
Harrington and Company, 244-0821. That's 244-0821.
Fagan and Biegel. Weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of the Valley.
6 minutes past 7 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, the second day of December. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron on KOAN, KVNT, or number 569-1080. And we're streaming on danfagan.us. Governor Bill Walker inaugurated yesterday. Has some tough choices to make. Money's running out. Price of oil dropping. I'm interested, Glenn, and you're such a treasure trove to have here. Because I guess maybe I don't understand. I've never looked at school choice as a money-saving thing. I've always looked at school choice as break up the monopoly.
Mm-hmm. Best for kids.
Best for
Best
kids.
for parents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, because this is a new thing, so I'm going to ask you about this, and I'm going to try to understand it.
Okay.
So you're saying that the reason school choice will come in Alaska is because we just can't afford the monopoly that is public education currently. Right?
Yeah. Public education is the largest line item now. It is the fastest growing and has grown. We spend double the amount here in the city of Anchorage that we did 10 years ago, and we don't have any new kids.
So explain to me again how school choice will save the state money.
Well, right now, my kids get educated, and on average, people at Holy Rosary Academy are 3 grades ahead of their peers. So the average student in the average public school, would read at a first grade level. The first graders would read at a fourth grade.
I want to get straight to the heart.
So it costs $5,200 a year to educate an elementary school student, and $6,200, $18,000. Now a lot of that.
Let me
special
clarify
needs.
that. $18,000 if you go to the public school. That's what it costs. The public school system. $6,000 if you go to the private school.
Yeah,
that's $12,000 savings.
Yes.
Now, so you're saying that once school choice comes, we're going to see a dramatic upgrade in the volume of public schools, because that's going to have to happen.
Private schools.
Private schools. Yeah, that's going to have to happen.
Or just choices. Basically, what will happen is the state will just decide, or the state will only be able to spend so much money on education.
Right.
And if somebody comes up and says, okay, well, I have a way to save the Anchorage School District or the kids in the Anchorage School District or the state of Alaska 30%,
right?
And because it's probably not going to be 50%, but it might be 30%, that I can save them 30% of the cost of educating a child, and I will give you better outcomes.
Okay.
Now, you would have thought that these would be things that people would want anyway. Oh, better outcomes, safer children.
But could you specifically address the logistics of building this new infrastructure in public schools that's going to give options for parents?
So, like building a school or something?
There will be more charter schools, STEM schools, homeschool programs.
Charter schools save a little bit of money, but they don't save a whole lot of money. They basically are funded, somewhere between 60 and 75% of other schools. Yeah, but
they could do more with less.
They definitely do more with less. Yeah, they don't get teacher training. They don't get transportation
to get
funds.
The kind of savings that you're wanting from a
30 to 40% is what I think.
Right. Where are these private schools going to come from?
They're just going to spring up right away.
Spring up immediately.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think you'd be able to, you're not going to get that many kids out of public education year 1.
Right.
But I bet by year 5, year 10.
What kind of reductions and what kind of numbers are we talking about? How many?
So I'd say that the budget could go from 1.3 billion, 1.4. I think it's 1.4 billion this year, and of course Walker has promised to increase it. I think that will go away fairly swiftly. But I bet you could get it down to $1 billion with better outcomes if you gave people the choices that they wanted.
About $300 million in the first 4 or 5 years.
Oh, in the first 4 or 5 years, you say billions.
Oh, say billions each year.
Sure.
So we're gonna all of a sudden have a ton of private schools in Alaska.
Yeah, I would think that we will have to get a choice system that encourages people to go to the school of their choice, and then the state will only fund it at certain levels.
And I'm just educating myself here, and we'll get you a call here in a second, Tom. So, what we hear from the public school monopoly is we can't turn kids away. That's why it's so expensive to educate kids, because we have the problem kids. Will the public schools that will be arising in mass, will they be able to turn kids away?
Well, the public schools will not turn any kids away. So, and in large part, private schools don't turn kids away either. That's a misnomer. It's something that the public educators try and lay on private schools, but that's largely untrue.
It is.
This is the way that it works for people who don't know. There are I think 10 or 12 different private school choices here in Anchorage. And they range from there are all different kinds of schools. If there were more private schools, of course, there would be schools for special needs. There would be schools for dyslexia. There would be schools for tactile learners. There would be schools for auditory learners. There would be schools that, there would be all kinds of different schools depending on how your child learned, because that's the way the marketplace works. In other words, the schools can only offer one type of school, or if you include charter schools, which are area-wide schools, they get to offer more. But there are 600 people on the waiting list for charter schools. Just one charter school, Aquarian Charter School. One charter school has a waiting list longer than the entire population of the school.
But we're not talking about charter schools because they don't say that much.
But my point here is that, what's wrong with the public school system? The charter schools actually do save a bit of money. Okay. You would save a pretty significant amount of money if you put more people in charter schools. We're talking about choice, all right? And so how would money come out of the system, or how do people your question is, public schools currently don't turn any kids away. They're not allowed to, and they don't. Private schools don't turn any kids away.
But they can.
They can.
And they will be able to.
And they will be able to, but this is the way that the private sector actually works, is right now, if you had a severely dyslexic child, there used to be a private school for that. They couldn't compete with the public schools. The kids learned better than they do in public school. It was a better outcome.
Well, let me ask
Everybody
you this.
won, and they did it at a lower cost. But that school could not bear the competition with the Anchorage School District. That school will come back immediately. There'll immediately be one school dedicated just to dyslexic children.
The argument that you're going to leave all the bad kids in the public schools, because private schools. Look, I'm sorry, I don't buy your premise that if you got a kid who won't listen to a teacher and has a discipline problem and has no respect for authority, then a private school would not kick that child out. I don't agree with that premise.
Okay.
So if
you're not correct, but okay.
Well, I mean, why would they?
Okay. Well, this is the way that it works. When a parent and a child go to a school, and they say, "Johnny, I want you to go to this school."
We're not talking about it. The parent's probably not even involved.
Oh no, the parent will be involved.
But my point is, most of these kids that don't respect authority and are troubled kids have no parental influence, have no parental involvement.
I believe that that's not true. I believe that parents have been dissuaded from interacting with their schools.
Okay. So you're saying private schools are never going to turn kids away?
I don't. My experience is private schools do not turn kids away. That what happens is the children and the parents learn what the culture of the school is, and if there's a high discipline in the school, they say, "Look, Johnny, if you do bad things, you know what's going to happen? Consequences are going to happen." And when a child has consequences and the parents bought in, even if there's only one of them, the child changes dramatically.
569-1080. Tom, we'll get to your call next. 569-1080. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, 714.
just one place to go. Check out moviesapron.com. It's showtime. Movie times, previews, and more. Get tickets, win some. Lots of information to explore. Take restaurants. Now you'll know just where to go. Before and after every show. Check out moviesapron.com. It's showtime.
You know what was the #1 gift Alaskans sent to their relatives for Christmas last year? Well, if you said Alaska king crab, you're right on. Last year, New Sagaya sent over 20,000 pounds of king crab to Alaskan friends and relatives outside. That's more than 10 tons. New Sagaya makes it so easy. For just $165, New Sagaya sends 5 pounds of extra-large golden king crab legs anywhere in the continental United States. And that includes UPS next-day air delivery. And New Sagaya does it right for you. The big crab legs and claws all boxed in a styrofoam box with dry ice and gel ice. It's guaranteed to arrive in perfect condition. But you'll want to avoid the rush as much as you can, so call right now. New Sagaya will program your delivery for whatever day you specify. Just call 1-800-764-1001. The King Crab Festival for just $165. From New Sagaya, 1-800-764-1001. Or order on the web from newsagaya.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number.
Call 877-319-MY-TV.
The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So cancel the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money.
Call 877-319-MY-TV.
Just $24.99. What are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card.
Call 877-319-MY-TV. That's 877-319-MY-TV.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080 KOAN.
Fagan, Biegel. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. The Talk of the Valley. KVN.
7:17 in the morning here on the second day of December 2014. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron on KOAN, KVNT in the Valley. Streaming live, video and audio, danfagan.us. Our number 569-1080. 569-1080. Let me tell you about a fellow named Mike Daniels who heads up Country Financial here in Alaska. Mike and his country representatives are the very best in the state when it comes to financial planning, asking you questions that will steer you in the direction to a worry-free retirement. Mike Daniels is chock full of wisdom, as are his country representatives. You go down and sit down with one of them, and within minutes you'll realize, wow, this was a good decision. Go see Mike Daniels and his team. There are 13 locations of Country Financial here in Alaska. 13. 5 here in Anchorage, 5 in the Valley. Here's the number to set up an appointment. You'll be thrilled you did. 866-COUNTRY. 866-COUNTRY. Do you get nervous when I start giving the number knowing you have to spell it? Does it give you butterflies?
Maybe a little.
866-COUNTRY, and country is spelled
COUNTRY.
I feel the tension over there. 569-1080. Let's go to Tom. Tom, you're on.
Good morning.
Morning, Tom.
You know, you've been talking about schools, and Glenn thinks that there's going to be a day of reckoning. And I agree with him.
That sounds so negative, Tom. I think there's going to be a day of freedom. I think people will realize we can't maintain this monopoly.
But schools isn't the only place, Glenn. You know, here in Anchorage, we have the Sullivan Arena that really mainly benefits one group of business people. We have...
Who's that? Aces?
Yeah.
Okay.
We $100 million facility, Dan.
Yeah.
And we don't get a dime from it. You know, we do get some infrastructure, some basic economic pluses from it, but
so the Sullivan doesn't make money,
right? And then we also use our chips with the state for capital funds to upgrade the Sullivan and repair the Sullivan from time to time.
So real quick, just give me a...
Sure.
So the Sullivan was built on what? Federal money, state money?
State money. It was Project 80's money.
Okay, and so then the city doesn't get a dividend every year, money earned?
Certainly not.
Okay, so does the city have a cost incurred with it?
No. But,
okay, so it's a revenue neutral thing.
No. But we use a lot of our capital dollars towards maintaining the Sullivan. So
it's
if
from the state, though, that's state money.
Right. So if we didn't use our capital dollars for the Sullivan, maybe we would have better roads.
And then, so the Sullivan, and who was it that it was SMA, or who manages the Sullivan?
I believe it's SMA or one of those.
And so they run it, and they make enough money to support it, and there's no supplementing of the okay.
Okay, and then we have the museum, another $100 million facility. That there's 300 or 400 people here in town that it's their deal.
Well, when my family came up, they were blown away by that museum.
Okay,
and they were tourists.
Okay, but not only does it, it's a $100 million facility that doesn't return anything to the city, and we actually have to pay about $6 million to keep it afloat.
We have to supplement the museum.
We supplement the museum, even though you go in there and it's what, $20, $25 to.
Now, I know they have a lot of fundraisers, but in addition to fundraisers, the city has to use taxpayer dollars, 600. What did you say, 600?
About $6 million.
$6 million.
Sure. Keeps going up.
Yeah.
And that's.
Well, what about the idea that we're a tourist destination, we need to have a nice museum?
Yeah, for 4 months out of the year.
Yeah, well, sure. I agree that we need a nice museum, or I would like to have a nice museum. Not necessarily that we need one, but we would like to have one. But I'm not sure that they should take the money at the point of a gun from me if I don't want to support it. Now, I do like to support it, but there's other people that don't want to.
What bothers me, Tom, is the $100,000 bus stop in front of the museum.
Well,
that was Ted Stevens.
That was $1 million bus stop.
Oh, it was $1 million. It was.
You didn't get that for $100,000.
That's right. That's
now,
right.
The next thing is the Anchorage Police Department. We're spending $100 million this year for police, right? And if they're patrolling the streets, that's fine. But Saturday or Thursday morning, I was sitting there in my living room, and here comes the Anchorage Turkey Trot, the foot race that they had on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And at 16th and A, around the corner comes 8 police cars. And what they were is they were the policemen that were managing the race.
Mm.
Now, we're paying them. We're paying them overtime.
We, the city taxpayer.
Right. Now, we do charge private industries that use the police a certain amount, but it doesn't cover the full cost. It isn't even close. And I've asked exactly what the accounting is for that in the past, and for some reason they've never been able to give it to me. And they've never published it in the paper, even though the paper's asked about it. And so we have Skinny Raven Sports and their turkey trot being subsidized by you and me, Dan, and Glenn and Bonnie. We're subsidizing a foot race.
Isn't that typical with most cities? Don't most cities, if you want to put on a public event, you need police
But at a certain time, when the budget is twice as much as what it was 12 years ago, when can we not afford this shenanigans
When
anymore?
do you stop? When is enough enough?
Yeah,
I agree.
right. And like the Denina Center, beautiful facility. I love that facility. It means that the Egan is empty 99% of the time. And there again, the budget line, the taxes that come in from the increased bed tax pays for it to some extent, but the bottom line on the budget is $10 million a year coming out.
But isn't it true that most convention centers in most cities lose money, and you have to have them there, otherwise you wouldn't have conventions?
Okay, so we've talked about the police, we've talked about the Sullivan, we've talked about the museum, we've talked about the Denina, and there's probably 10 or 12 other entities just like that we're supporting here in Anchorage. When's enough?
But what about the conventions that come to town as a result of the Denina Center?
Yeah, they do. They do.
And people eat in our restaurants,
right?
And stay in our hotels, and
so they
use our Ubers.
They do benefit the tourism industry. Well, there's some of us that aren't in the tourism industry.
Yeah.
And and to what extent should they be able, the city hall, to what extent should City Hall be able to take money from Dan Fagan at the point of a gun? Because if you don't pay your property taxes, sooner or later, a guy with a gun is going to come to your house and say, get out. You know, at what point should they be able to take your money at a point of a gun and say, we're going to give your money to the Hilton Hotel. We're going to give your money to the Marriott.
So what are you suggesting? No museum, no convention center?
What I'm saying is that we need to get a little, we just need to get real here.
And quit building things that we're going to have to pay for later when we can't afford it.
Well, and quit having favorites. We have certain industries that don't pay business personal property tax. We have certain industries that don't have to comply with zoning. We have certain industries that don't do this, don't do that, don't do something else. And the Assembly and the Mayor's office and the state legislature sits there and makes laws that allows it to happen. And that's why some people are getting more and more upset on a regular basis.
What are businesses that don't have to pay property taxes, you said?
Automobile industry is one.
They don't pay property taxes.
Business personal property tax, inventory tax.
Oh, inventory.
And
because they'd put them out of business.
No. Well, the
value of their product is so high.
Well, the justification is because when you buy the car, then somebody pays a tax at that point, except that you can buy a $200,000 car, and the tax is $100, where if I have $200,000 worth of inventory, I'm paying 1.5% of that per year.
What kind of car is that, by the way?
What, a couple $100,000 car? Oh, there's lots of them. There's various cars.
They're expensive.
But there's $100,000 cars, there's $50,000 cars, and they get a tremendous advantage because I guess they're friends of friends, and and it just kind of, so it's not just schools that are where the day of reckoning is coming. I think more and more people are going to say, hey, why do I have to subsidize Joe over there?
Yep.
And I don't know, and the people that go to the library, or the museum, they're the friends of the museum. You can look on the website and there's friends, and it's the who's who of Anchorage.
People for pools. Look, this is what would have been great, by the way, if when we had the difficulty with funding and we were arguing over whether to fund pools. I think the YMCA could have run service pool.
Sure.
Probably at they certainly wouldn't have needed city assistance. So I think that would have been a great way for them to dispense of that pool.
But should the city have built it in the first place? The city, even with the tennis courts, Dan Sullivan wanted to build the tennis courts for $6 million. Wait a minute, the Dome people built the Dome and are operating it as a private industry, and doesn't cost us hardly anything here in Anchorage. They don't pay.
It's self-sufficient.
Right, and here's private industry doing something. And the Dome cost, I think, $11 million initially, and it's a larger facility than the Sullivan Arena, and it's a different facility.
Didn't they get a bunch of state money to start that thing off?
I don't believe so.
I thought there was a big controversy about that.
Well, they bought the fish plant.
Well, of course,
that was some of the same people that bought the fish plant,
and
it's since separated. And there's a lot of
the parking lot was paved.
Yeah, that was it.
By the huge capital budget in 2010 or whatever.
That might have been.
Yeah.
But a couple of $1 million versus $100 million. So there's a lot of these different issues that keep coming up, and we keep being dinged for it. We keep paying for all of these different facilities, and at some time it's just enough.
Yeah. Thanks, Tom.
Have a good day.
That.
Take care.
All right, that's Tom. 569-1080. 569-1080. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, KOAN, KVNT.
No, I don't know where I'm going, but I sure know where I've been going.
From Fox Business Network stocks are trading higher as the market bounces back from Monday's loss. A couple of deals also boosting investors' optimism. Cypress Semiconductor is buying fellow chipmaker Spansion in a stock deal valued at $1.6 billion. And Avenir Pharmaceuticals trading sharply higher after that company agreed to be acquired by Otsuka Pharmaceutical, price tag $3.5 billion cash. Shares of Royal Caribbean are rallying. The cruise company has been added to the S&P 500, replacing the packaging maker Bemis. U.S. construction spending posted its biggest gain in 5 months. Spending climbed 1.1% in October, driven by outlays on homes and schools. And Radio Shack says claims by lender Salus Capital Partners that it breached covenants on a $250 million loan were, quote, wrong and self-serving. Shares of the struggling electronics retailer were halted. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Lauren Simonetti.
This holiday season, give the most eternal, unique gift of the year. Name a star after someone. I'm Rocky Moselle with International Star Registry. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com, we'll name a star after anyone on your gift list. The star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office, and we will send an incredible personalized gift package. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com with a gift that shines forever.
With KOAN News, I'm Chuck White. An Anchorage physician has pleaded guilty to medical assistance fraud and evidence tampering. We'll have other charges against him dismissed. Case that involved more than $1 million in alleged fraudulent Medicaid overpayments. Dr. Shabarangi and Ghosh is expected to receive 1 to 3.5 years in prison. Alaska has sworn in its new governor. Bill Walker is the 11th governor and first independent. Finally, scientists who have re-examined the fossils of the mastodons who once roamed this state many centuries before it was Alaska. They now believe the fossils are even older than previously thought. They have revised their age estimate for the ancient cousin of the elephant from 14,000 years old to 75,000 years old. Researchers published their findings this week in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. That's your Hot Talk News update. Local weather is next.
Considerable cloudiness throughout the day today with snow showers accumulating an inch or two, bringing the storm total snowfall amount to 1 to 3 inches. High today 35. Then tonight partly cloudy with a low 23. For tomorrow partial sunshine with a high 26 and a low tomorrow night of 19. Thursday a partly sunny day with a high 28. Hot Talk, breaking news, and the latest weather. KOAN 95.1 FM and 1080 AM.
We'll pay you to feel good. We'll pay you to look good. We'll pay you to get treated like the spectacular human being you are. Sound reasonable? When you join us at Allure Day Spa and Hair Design for any service, we give you loyalty reward points to use on any of our products. You get a massage, you feel great, and we give you points to use on products. You have a beauty day, hair, facial, nails. You look wow. And we give you points to spend on products. You come in for waxing, points for products. It's our way of saying thank you for being a client. If you've never been to Allure Day Spa, here's what you'll like. Allure was voted one of the top 5 salons in America, and it's for everyone. If you've never been to Allure, please come by and take a tour to see why people say, I should have stopped in sooner. Once you get to know us, we think you'll love us. Of course, you'll find us on the web, but more importantly, you can find Allure Day Spa and Hair Design downtown, corner of 5th and B.
Hey, folks, this is Chris and Brock from The Beer Show. Make sure to listen to us every Saturday at 5 p.m. on 95.1 and 1080 KOAN.
The Beer Show is brought to you proudly every single week by Humpy's Great Alaska Ale House, Brown Jug Alaska, Great Artisan Beverages, and the Odom Corporation. Always drink responsibly.
When I grew up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can go your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant. like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Here's my good friend, Keith Montronock.
Automotive repairs can be frustrating. Let me help. Call 349-1637. I have been in business for nearly 20 years at the same location. Specialty Truck and Auto is in South Anchorage behind the Long Branch Saloon where Diamond becomes Abbott. I have 6 ASE certified technicians working from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. I have a voucher for any of the 6 Alaska Laser Wash locations for each customer. If you schedule ahead and need a ride when you drop your vehicle off, I may be able to help. Call Specialty Truck and Auto, 349-1637.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT.
All right, welcome back. 7:36.
Strangest conversation
Dan
ever.
Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, KOAN, KVNT, no humming.
I'm sorry.
569-1080.
You need to let the music go on longer.
569-1080. Are we going to get to hear some Christmas music because we get closer to the big holiday?
I like Glenn's idea of waiting until, what was it, the night before Christmas?
The night before Christmas.
And then we'll play it for
That's
2
right.
weeks after that.
Hey. Are you not a big fan of Christmas music there, Brian?
I don't mind. I like Christmas.
Like Hall & Oates? What was
No,
there?
Brian Setzer Christmas.
Rock Around the Clock.
Yeah, we'll find some good stuff whenever you're ready.
Sounds like he's ready.
He doesn't even want to go with the weather.
I'm waiting for them to put up the tree and the decorations, you know.
We need some
Do they put one up around here?
tinsel in here or something.
I'm not sure. Maybe they just decorate the plant out front.
You know, I'm getting pressure from people who own the station. They want us to go to their Christmas party on Friday.
Okay.
I know Brian won't
Is
go.
there going to be food?
I can't go.
No, it's catered.
Oh.
I'm working
and
a
not-
Christmas party.
We don't have to pay to go?
No, it's free food. It's
All right,
catered.
I'm there.
Are you not going to be able? Are you going to work, Brian?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm doing a holiday party for another company who's paying me, so.
Aha!
I get a free meal
they
there
have
too.
free food.
Paying you to do what? DJ?
Yep.
Okay.
And host it.
What's the company?
Valley Board of Realtors.
And what does it mean to host it?
You know, I'm
It's
kind
for
of
their-
like, hey, welcome everybody. Here's what's going on.
And
blah blah blah.
Is it at their offices?
Nope, it's at a facility.
So that they pay you to set all that up? You do all the catering and everything?
No, I just do the sound and the.
Okay.
Yeah, I sort of run the show.
It's out in the valley.
Yep.
Wow. Well, are you guys going to go to the party here Friday?
If there's free food, I'll be there.
No, not me.
It doesn't
You're
take
not gonna
much.
go? Why not?
Well, you're just telling me about it, A, but we still have a little one, and
Eddie Burke will be there.
Eddie'll be there. I could let him watch Kara for a while.
How
Say,
can you not
hey,
want to be
Kara,
somewhere?
here's
Why
my
can't you bring your
13-month-old.
baby?
She's noisy.
Oh, no, the email actually says it's a family party, bring your kids.
Okay, good, but that's never true. So thanks for.
Well, that's what the email says.
That's fine, but it's never true.
Well, why? Are you saying I'm lying or they're
No,
lying?
I'm saying that they're lying.
She could
Nobody
play with the,
wants a
pit bulls.
13-year-old, a 13-month-old. Probably nobody wants a 13-year-old either.
Just put her in the pen with
Nobody
all the
wants a
pit bulls.
13-month-old hanging about. And frankly, mom is that just, it just doesn't work out. But anyway, I'm going to a new charity that I'm going to be on the board of. I'm not on the board of many things, but somebody asked me, and they asked me
That's
really,
Friday
really
night?
nicely. Yeah, and then Friday night says they sort of kickoff meeting, St. Vincent de Paul.
What's the charity?
St. Vincent de Paul, and it's they help fund projects, like charitable projects.
Like building homes or?
I'm still working on exactly what kind of projects we're going to fund. This is basically the kickoff meeting.
So it depends on how
For
much
us?
money they get.
Yeah,
Start with birdhouses.
we'll start with really small homes.
So is it involving providing homes for people?
I'm not sure exactly.
That's what they're going to figure out based on the funding.
Yeah, no, I mean,
How do they get their funding?
They gave me from charitable donations. It's a Catholic organization, and
Does the church kick in cash, or do they just go raise money?
I think they go raise money. I think it's separate from
Okay.
church altogether.
Well, good for you.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that.
Are you going to go, Dan?
To St. Vincent de Paul?
No.
I just heard about it.
Yeah.
Plus, I
To
can't
the
bring my
Christmas
kids.
party.
You need to bring your kids.
My wife won't
you
go
have
anywhere
to
without
have
kids.
first and get a
She
wife.
won't go anywhere without the kids. I'll tell you, I can't go anywhere anymore.
Five, six, 9, 10, 80, ladies. Call Dan.
To procreate with me?
Oh, boy.
He needs some kids for Friday.
Get out of it, going to a party.
You could just borrow them.
I think if you adopt kids, they give you money.
Yeah, they do.
There you go, Dan.
I think that's fostering. And it's not very much, and it's not worth it. No,
I'm sure-
that was bad.
Helping a kid is worth it.
I'm sure kids don't cost much to raise, right?
Not much.
Not.
Hot dogs,
When you
macaroni,
give 'em a hot dog,
spaghetti.
Bowl of cereal every once in a while.
You know, I do have to say that is another one of the positives to homeschooling. We don't have to deal with like parties, a lot of 30 other kids in the classroom, their parties and their birthday presents. And I mean, I have friends who literally have to put aside a budget every month
But
for
how do
all
your
the birthdays their kids go to.
But so your kids don't get invited to your birthday?
No.
So they're just like hermits?
I mean, like a few a year, but not
That sounds
30.
horrible.
I know, that's
So you like
so
keep
bad.
your
They're
kids
missing out on
home
a
in the
bunch of kids
basement?
that they're never going to know again.
Yeah, I mean,
No. How many friends do you still have from elementary and high school?
but the friends I did have at that time helped me develop.
Really?
Well, not really with me, but most kids. But that's an important part of life, having
They have friends. It's just well-chosen friends.
Just take them to Chuck E. Cheese all the time.
Well, how
There
do
you
they
go.
make friends if they don't go to school?
They're involved in a lot of events. I mean, they go to shooting
Church?
club and youth
Okay.
group and
Okay.
swimming and
Gotcha.
I mean homeschool events.
Oh, you okay?
Chess club.
But isn't there something just about just going to school all day with kids and having other kids and the pecking order getting played out?
Socialization.
There's good and bad.
You get in trouble for socializing in school. You get sent to the principal's office for
Yeah, but
socializing.
during
in
recess
school.
and during lunch and
They teach you cuss
during
words
PE and all that stuff.
and all kinds of other things.
You know, that's one thing I today, you know, when I was a kid, we would go into the empty lot across the street. Of course, we didn't live on an iceberg. You could actually go outside. But we'd play football, we'd play baseball, softball. We were always playing. We'd play war, we'd play army. And there was a natural pecking order that was, you learned how to fit in and you learned how to work within the parameters of the natural pecking order. It's the only way I can describe it. And today everything's so organized. You know, now you go to soccer practice, everything's regimented. If you go, everything's got a coach. You don't pick teams anymore.
Lunches are like 20 minutes long now.
Well, I don't know. Is that
Yeah.
true? Yeah.
You want to know what the closest thing to that is, by the way, Dan?
What?
Boy Scouts.
Hmm.
Boy Scouts, they have the scouts basically plan almost everything.
Oh, they let them do it themselves.
And execute just
Nice.
about everything as much as they can, because the whole point of it is you need to be prepared. You don't need to be prepared to interact in a parent-led, parent-designed activity. You need to be prepared.
But there's no more going out and playing anymore, is there?
No.
No, it's
We used to go out
dangerous.
and play all
There's
the
too
time.
many child rapists, and I
You
mean,
know,
there's just all
I
kinds
don't
of crazy
believe that's
people out
true.
there.
I don't believe that's true. And I've read the statistics on this. It is phenomenal. The amount of children who are abducted every year by strangers.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 10 all year.
For the whole country?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'm gonna look it up during a break. But the thing is, parents are so terrified now to have their kid run down 2 blocks. Most of the child abductions in this country, the vast majority of them, are by single parents who lost custody, an uncle who's a pervert.
Mm-hmm.
It's always this idea that there are these child rapists lurking in the bushes, waiting to grab your child once your child gets 2.5 blocks away from the house, is what most parents live under. That's their reality.
Yeah, but
And I
it's also about
understand it.
control too.
I understand it because that's what the media tells them.
But do you think the missing children, of which there are 40,000 a year, I think, I mean, that where do they go?
I'll look it up. I'll give it
Lots
to you
of
over the
human
break.
trafficking.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about the United States, right?
Yes.
Okay. 569-1080. Stay with us.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about the United States, right?
Yes.
Okay. 569-1080. Stay with us.
Firewood. Call now, 727-5928. That's 727-5928, and get 2 bundles of starter sticks with your order. Hold on, 2 bundles of starter sticks and free delivery in Anchorage? That's way cool! Best Split Firewood will deliver mostly all birch split and ready for your fireplace or wood stove, no matter how much you need. A quarter, half, or full cord. They have the best firewood in the city, and they'll even mix in some spruce if you ask for it. And don't worry if you just need a couple of bundles. Best Split Firewood has them wrapped and ready to go at half of what you would pay anywhere else in the city. Best Split Firewood. Call today for free delivery in Anchorage and 2 bundles of starter sticks. 727-5928. That's 727-5928.
Visit their new location at 2000 East 68th Avenue in Anchorage.
I love birthdays. My husband's, my mom's, my best friends. People say I have a knack for choosing the right gift, but to me, shopping is about being thoughtful and practical. That's why I shop with Valpak. I can take my husband out, my mom, and throw a party for my best friend. Valpak is full of things people love.
Valpak Values, Guido's Pizza, VCA Animal Hospital, Oxford Assay, Papa John's Pizza, Alaska Car Transport, Great Cliffs GNC, Diamond Airport Parking, Massage Envy, Great Alaska Pizza, American Red Cross, Brother Francis Shelter, and Donaldson's Winter Gear.
Trail Boss Solutions is an Alaskan-owned, nationally recognized top 500 construction and remodel firm. With our award-winning kitchen designs and remodels, Trail Boss Solutions is fully licensed, bonded, and insured, and has the experienced professionals to take your project from initial design through completion, on time and on budget. Please visit us on the web at trailboss-solutions.com or contact Trail Boss Solutions direct at 646-1403.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569-1080. KOA. Fagan and Biegel, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT.
7:30. Oh, no, don't worry. It's 7:47. You're not that early. 7:47 in the morning. Fagan, Biegel, and Bonnie on KOAN, KVNT. Also, we are on danfagan.us, streaming both video and audio. Our number, 569-1080.
42 years of experience roofing Alaska, all across Alaska, and really with their winning of the Better Business Bureau Business of the Year for 2010, this is the best roofing company around, bar none. I hope you include them in your bidding process. They are Earhart Roofing, and you can get a hold of them at 345-5555. I call it roofing ballet. That's the way they get the roofs done so quickly and so efficiently, and really leave your property oftentimes cleaner than it started, which you will be shocked at, and most of my friends who've selected Earhart know the reality and the truth of that. 345-5555. When you think roofing, think Earhart, E-A-R-H-A-R-T.
So, there's just nothing worse than living in fear. And the media is that's what the media is all about. They're all about causing you to live in fear. It's like their number one goal. And I reported on this, several years ago, and here's the latest I can find on it. And one of the things that I think that people, especially parents, and it's a natural thing, is they live in this fear that their child will be abducted. And the idea is, little Johnny can ride his bike within eyesight of the house, but he better not go left over to the street across from, or the street down, or go right 2 blocks away, because some guy in a trench coat is lurking in the bushes waiting to abduct him. And that's the reality most parents live in today. Is that exaggerated?
No, because it's happened.
All right, well, let me give you some statistics. Let me give you some statistics. And this is John Stossel who's reporting this. This guy we all trust, right? John Stossel, not a leftist. If you have kids, you're probably worried about them being kidnapped. Your kids are probably worried about it too. How could they not, after seeing all the publicity about abducted children? In television public service announcement, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children warned every day 2,000 children are reported missing. President Ernie Allen says, our goal is to reach into every home and to generate that key lead to the keys that leads to the recovery of a child. We need to send a message to the American public that it is serious. Stossel writes that's a noble goal, but there is a downside. Kids tell me all the time, all the talk on television about kidnapping worries them. Dozens of 7 to 12-year-olds I interviewed say abduction was their biggest fear. One little boy said he worries every night because I'm asleep and I don't know what's going to happen. Scaring kids might be justified if abductions were common, but the media make the problem look much bigger than it is. The stereotypical kidnapping, where a child is abducted by a stranger and murdered and ransomed, or kept for a significant period of time, almost never happens. In fact, there are only 100 or so such cases every year. Those abductions are tragic. The kids are more likely to be caught up in a tornado than be abducted by a stranger. Maybe we should have warnings about that, with lots of pictures to put up everyone on edge. The Center for Missing Children is a piece of the fear industrial complex. It raises money by scaring us. Businesses also profit from the fear. Bring Security pushes apprehensions about child abduction in commercials for home security systems. And then he goes and he describes that. Nancy Grace has become a superstar, scaring parents about kidnappings. Let's see here. I'm sorry, I lost my place. The media has scared parents stiff, says Dan McGinn, who runs focus groups. Some parents will let their kids out of their sight. All this worry can't be good for kids, one child told me. Anyone could just grab me at any time. A lot more kids are getting kidnapped. But more kids are not getting kidnapped. Only 100 a year. And basically, he just goes on to talk about.
I don't understand any of his statistics then, because this is from a different site, Missing and Exploited Children, missingkids.com. 58,000 children were abducted by non-family members, it says here. 800,000 children younger than 18 reported missing. I think this is over the last couple of decades, though. So, I mean, it's not like it's 58,000 a year, but it's not 100 a year.
Well, and is that reported missing and they were found a few days later?
To go on even more, here, 100 cases, there is an estimated 100 cases a year where the abducted child is murdered.
Yeah. Well,
not where kids are just abducted, but their abducted child is murdered.
That's his number, 100 a year.
But he said there were 100 kids abducted a year.
And murdered.
He said scaring kids might be justified if abductions were common, but the media make the problem look much worse than it is. The stereotypical kidnapping, where a child is abducted by a stranger and murdered, ransomed, or kept for a significant period of time, rarely happens. In fact, there are only 100 or so such cases every year.
Okay.
But well, there's also been kids getting molested out there, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
58,000
children were abducted by non-family members. So I guess that's what they call stereotypical. I mean, to me, that's not really what I'm worried about.
Even 100 sounds worrisome to me.
But that's across the whole country. In other words, that's 2 per state.
That's somebody's child.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about it, but there's no way to keep there are 100 home invasions, in Anchorage every year where they could abduct you or kill you or do all kinds of stuff.
I guess you could say that that's probably why electronics have gotten so much more popular, because it's safe. And I've been there. I've been like, well, at least I know where my child is. They're sitting in front of a TV. They're not out.
Your number and who's given us that?
Missingkids.com, National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Now you understand that they raise money on scared people, so you gotta. I'm looking for somebody a little more.
That's fine. I mean, they have specific numbers. It's from the FBI National Crime Center information. They have the same number that you gave. An estimated 115 children were victims of, quote, stereotypical kidnapping, where they were transported 50 miles or more, killed, ransomed, or held with the intent to keep the child permanently.
Well,
but they also say that 58,000 children were abducted by non-family members, 200,000 children abducted by family members, and they give a good statistic here, which is 800,000 children younger than 18 reported missing. So 75% of the children reported missing were not abducted, and that's probably important for people to know.
And what was your point, that we should be able to let people just roam?
Well, it's not my point. It's John Stossel's point.
Roam free. Well, but your original point was.
Well, John Stossel's point was that we are worked into this frenzy that we, because when I was a kid, my buddy Steve Muller and I, we'd get on our bike and we'd ride all day.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore.
We'd get up at 9 in the morning and we would literally ride 10 miles. And we had to be back before dark.
Yep.
We'd have a little pocket money. And now it's like you can't ride out of the sight of your parent because we're under this impression that kids are getting abducted in mass, and according to Stossel, it's only 100 a year.
Well, maybe that's because parents are being more careful and keeping their kids closer to them.
Yeah.
But Dan's saying that you lose out on a lot of life.
I
was
agree.
his life that he lived. I mean, it was such a great
know, my
part of life.
husband
I
said-
totally agree, though. Most
And
people do live in this fear, and I do.
And we never had helmets.
Yes, like Brian was saying. Well,
That's
and
right.
I said when I was a kid, I'd go roaming the hillside. I'd walk the hillside with my dog all the time.
It was so cool.
I'd never let my kids do that now.
It
Not
was-
just because of people, but because of more animals.
It was so exciting just to be able to go and on Saturday morning, hey, it's my day. I can do anything I want. My parents would, they would want to know where I'm going, and we wouldn't go.
Right. The general vicinity.
Yeah.
Which
we'd
direction
ride.
are you heading?
We
East,
just
west?
ride.
Yeah.
It is. I think it is. It is a key part of life, and it's a discussion that goes on in each and every family. And normally, the person who is more careful wins out. They say, "Look, we're just not taking that kind of a chance. We're just not going to take that kind of a chance." I will tell you that the likelihood that an adult woman, gets abducted or gets whatever, is probably far more likely than a child. Not that that is of any consolation here, because it's such a high rate in Anchorage, but. A lot of people don't worry about that, but they worry about their children all the time. I know it is a fine line, I think, Dan. I think you bring up a great point. It's a fine line that people basically we have been, because media is so prevalent, and we know, there could be somebody abducted, in Florida, and we could hear about it on national news
And
for
that's
the
all you
next
hear about.
6 hours.
That's right.
Where so we get programmed. Okay, well, we just heard 6 hours. Somebody's been abducted. This must happen all the time. Oh, here it is again. Here it is again. Here it is again. The left uses this kind of stuff against us all the time, where they'll highlight, individual circumstances where something strange happened with police and say, obviously, this is happening all the time. Well, they're actually fairly rare circumstances, but they know that our minds don't work that way, that they can't filter that stuff out. And when we have an emotional attachment to a disappearance of a child, just like you said, if it's one or 100 or 10,000 or 1 million, it's all the same to us. It's that big of a tragedy.
In many ways, it's an exploitation of something that's very natural, which is a parent's love for their child and wanting to protect their child. And I don't know that it's intentional. It makes good ratings. We're gonna work people up into a frenzy, or it's. I don't know. I don't know if I'm assigning that kind of motive to the media for doing it. But I just know that today, most parents I know, and I probably would be the same if I had a child, they're literally terrified that the kid's going to get abducted. They live in that fear.
Yes.
We do.
569-1080. 7:58 time.
We do.
569-1080.
After a hard day at work and then shopping for the holidays, the last thing you want to do is slave over a hot stove. Well, don't worry about it. Relief from this hectic time of year is just a jingle away. Call 333-8000 and ring in the holidays with the Sicily Season Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. So relax and let Sicily's deliver hot, fresh, delicious pizza, pasta, calzones, wings, and salads right to your door. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Call 333-8000 and ask for the Season's Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. For the only 24-hour-a-day delivery in Alaska, call 333-8000 or save 20% by ordering online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's. Wishing you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
You're listening to Hot Talk, KOAN Anchorage, AM 1080, and retranslated on 95.1 FM on K236CG Anchorage.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lisa Brady. Defending the president's actions on immigration, the head of Homeland Security in a House hearing that's just wrapped up Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Lisa, Homeland Secretary Jay Johnson spent more than 2 hours backing the president's executive actions, which Republican Michael McCall said will cause a new wave of illegal immigration.
The Department of Homeland Security is unprepared to handle the coming surge that the president's policies will incite.
Secretary Johnson maintains the executive actions actually promote border security.
We prioritize the removal of those apprehended at the border.
Secretary Johnson said a legal team concluded the president acted within his legal rights. Lisa.
Rachel, House Speaker John Boehner says the president's unilateral action on immigration
It makes it harder for the American people and our elected representatives to trust his word on any issue.
He calls it a serious breach of the Constitution, but says lawmakers have limited options to deal with it directly. The House is planning to vote on a resolution disapproving of the president's actions, then have a separate vote on legislation to fund the government, aiming to answer conservative demands to oppose the president without risking a government shutdown. Reports of a power outage at buildings in downtown Detroit, including firehouses, the Joe Louis Arena, and schools. They've just announced an early dismissal, citing high winds. The fire chief telling Fox affiliate WJBK the crews are responding to reports of people stuck in elevators. An investigation is underway. Late word of a shakeup in Israel's government. Prime Minister Netanyahu firing senior government ministers. This, as AP also reports, elections appear imminent. A symbolic show of support for the Palestinians in France, where the lower house of parliament has just voted to urge recognition of a Palestinian state. The French government wants peace talks to restart first. You're listening to Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
You've been thinking about switching to solar. Don't wait much longer or you'll miss out on this year's federal tax credit. Move quickly because the tide is turning. Solar power is becoming a threat to big energy profits. In fact, some power companies are even pushing for extra fees to make up for lost revenue. Warning, you must have your solar system up and running by midnight December 31st or you'll miss out on this year's federal tax credit. Energy prices are expected to increase by as much as 40% in the near future. Go solar now with no down payment, interest, or payments for a whole year. You can afford it because we finance. Get your government money and save big every month. Big Energy is getting nervous and the door of opportunity is about to slam shut. Paying $150 a month or more on energy bills? Then call 1-800-MY-SOLAR now for a free in-home assessment. 1-800-MY-SOLAR.
My home, my savings, 1-800-MY-SOLAR.
The traffic jam. A stifling halt to your thrilling drive. But in a redesigned 2015 Mercedes-Benz C-Class, that interruption is at least tolerable. With the most luxurious interior in its class and an innovative touchpad, the all-new 2015 C-Class is as exciting to experience standing still as it is in motion. And with its improved acceleration power, your state of comfort continues, knowing you'll make it to your destination on time. To your authorized dealer and see the world differently in a C-Class from Mercedes-Benz. Get the 2015 C300 4MATIC starting at just $40,400. Test drive one today.
MSRP for a 2015 C300 4MATIC excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep. Options, model, availability, and actual dealer price may vary. See dealer for details.
Mercedes-Benz of Anchorage. The best or nothing.
Hi, this is Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company. Sellers, if you are going to sell your home, now may very well be the best time. The current interest rates are still very low in comparison to previous loan rates. Now is the time to take advantage of this uncommon phenomenon. We will look back at this period as a golden opportunity to buy or sell. Homeowners planning to sell should call us at 244-0821. We will be happy to come out and do a comparative market analysis at your convenience. Call Jonathan Martin at Harrington & Company, 244-0821. That's 244-0821.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can go your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve. which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Why is A&A The Shop Alaska's independent Subaru specialist? How is it they've been voted the best shop in Anchorage not once but 6 times? Well, it's pretty simple. They offer the best warranty in the business. If they work on your Subaru, you're going to get a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on both parts and labor. That's unheard of. A&A The Shop deals exclusively with Subarus, and they also offer $35 oil changes. All their technicians are ASE certified. Call A&A The Shop for an appointment. 562-3919 in Anchorage and 696-2096 in Eagle River. Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080KOAN.com. Biegel. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. The Talk of the
Valley. KVNT. 6 minutes past 8 o'clock. Good morning to you on this December 2nd. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron on KOAN, KVNT. Streaming on danfagan.us. Our number 569-1080. 569-1080. Let's go to Jake. Jake, you're on.
Yeah, the reason they pump missing children and whatnot so hard is because fear sells probably as well as sex sells. It sells newspapers. It sells TV time. If you're scared, you're going to be drawn into watching it. You're going to want to buy products to keep yourself safe.
Well, you know, there's probably something to that. We were talking last segment about whether the children abduction story is overblown. There's only 100 of them or so that fit the tight definition of being murdered and abducted and
transported 50 miles away.
Transported 50 miles away by someone that they didn't know.
Or. Those are ors, not ands.
So you think that's what's going on, huh, Jake?
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing. People, if they hear, missing child, they're going to watch the news or listen to the radio. If it's on the front of a paper, they'll say, got to read that paper. I run into the same discussion with people on gun control. The kid gets a hold of the father's gun or the mother's gun and
that is a good point.
Somebody. And it doesn't happen that often, but they make it happen. Sound like it happens all the time.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I have friends who are, I'd never have a gun in my home.
Yep.
I would never have a gun. With kids, I'd never have a gun in my home. And to me, it's just, I want a gun in my home because I have kids, so I can protect them.
Yeah.
I point out to them that, more kids die in car wrecks than die from accidental gunshots.
Well, kids are also saved by a gun. I mean, that's the thing. The thing that people don't balance out here is that guns protect people from dangerous people all the time, million times a year. So.
Well, they're not paying attention to the statistics that are associated with it.
Yeah.
They're just so sure that the kid's going to get a gun and go kill everybody. And the fear is what they're using to sell that point to try and take everybody else's guns away. And it's fear. Fear sells points like that agenda or like I'm going to watch that newspaper because, it's about missing kids. Don't you love a kid?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You think they do that intentionally, though, huh, Jake?
I absolutely think they do it intentionally.
Thank you, man.
You bet.
As somebody who woke up every day for a large portion of his adult life having to come up with a news story, there is a pressure to grab the attention of the viewer, to present something to them that will compel them to be moved. And fear is certainly a big motivator. So I think there is something into that. 569-1080, Jerry, you're on.
If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning. I'm leaving on a jet plane. This land is your land. This land is my land. Last night, for 2 hours, took me back about 50 years to listen to Peter, Paul, and Mary and shut out all of this negativism, this stuff about Ferguson, this stuff about all kinds of things that drag us down and keep us into a world mired in self-loathing And it was just a wonderful 2 hours. So I just wanted to share that with you. What a wonderful evening it was last night.
You have a great voice.
50 years, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate that. Sometimes you got to just get away.
It's true.
Cut out all the.
What do you mean sometimes? Every time you go home, every time you walk in that door, if you are not getting away from your work and from life, you're living wrong.
Now, what do you mean getting away from life?
In other words, your job, my job as a man, as the husband, is not to bring my troubles home.
Right.
Right. It's to be present for my children and my wife when I'm there.
Yeah.
And most people, they just don't get that. They bring all their problems home. Oh, you wouldn't believe what Sally said. And, oh, Joe was just so awful. And, oh, my gosh, I've got this big project to do and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
Your kids are waiting for you.
Yes. You need to be there for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty sad. People just don't get that. So I think he's right, but you should be doing that every day. The idea that you had to wait for Ferguson to happen, or that you have to wait for Obama to make you upset, or for whatever it is, every day. I mean, that should be the biggest part of your life.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
No,
off.
no, you didn't cut me off.
There was a time where, and there still is, when I would listen to, like I said, talk radio for too long, or the news, if I had Fox News playing in the background for too long, which I know my parents do that. They have it going all day long. And sometimes, like Jerry said, I would just have to turn it off and turn the music on.
How does it affect your parents?
They are pretty cynical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that you can.
Do they
get that way.
contribute to candidates or causes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, good. And, as long as your cynicism doesn't disconnect you from your responsibilities, from your duties.
Yes.
Well, the thing about Fox News, I don't watch it on the TV. I'll go to foxnews.com and I'll look and see if there's a clip I want to watch. But it is important in that there's just so much we wouldn't know without it. There's so much we would never know without Fox News telling us. The IRS scandal, Fast and Furious, you just go down the list.
Right.
Because the mainstream media is corrupt to its core. So you have to indulge yourself into Fox News because you have to know what's going on. But it's like anything else. It's got to be in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
You can't live in it. You can't have it on all day, for goodness sakes. And that's why, I think the best approach, at least for me, because I used to watch it more. I don't watch it anymore. Because it does. After an hour of Fox News, you're like banging your head against the wall. What's wrong with this country? And that kind of thing. And this is things that we all have to do as citizens of a country that, frankly, is going through some tough times right now. When you think about the average citizen living in the 50s, what they would consume in the way of information every day, it was nothing compared to what we consume. There was not as much fear back then. There wasn't as much focusing on the negative of life.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different culture today, and a lot of that is because of the 24-hour news cycle and the access to all the information that we have today.
Well, there's just some things that I don't want my kids to even know.
Yeah.
They'll discuss things in such detail on the news.
Yeah.
And I just think, oh, dear, I did not mean for you to hear that. I'm so sorry.
I'm so... I can't imagine having kids today. Especially when it comes along with what's going on with the homosexual agenda. There is such a push to literally shove homosexuality into the face of kids 24 hours, 7 days a week, and it's always from the same approach. This is normal behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Constant. Kids shouldn't even know what a homosexual is until they're in their late teens. Well, why would anyone even want to? Why would a kid even be taught that there is such thing?
Why would the teachers union want to recruit people to that lifestyle, to make that choice? Why would they want that? What is wrong with the teachers union?
814, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron.
What is wrong with the teachers union?
814, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron.
KOANAM.com.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices your leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y.
You know what was the #1 gift Alaskans sent to their relatives for Christmas last year? Well, if you said Alaska king crab, you're right on. Last year, New Sagaya sent over 20,000 pounds of king crab to Alaskan friends and relatives outside. That's more than 10 tons. New Sagaya makes it so easy. For just $165, New Sagaya sends 5 pounds of extra large golden king crab legs anywhere in the continental United States. And that includes UPS next day air delivery. And New Sagaya does it right for you. The big crab legs and claws all boxed in the styrofoam box with dry ice and gel ice. It's guaranteed to arrive in perfect condition. But you'll want to avoid the rush as much as you can, so call right now. New Sagaya will program your delivery for whatever day you specify. Just call 1-800-764-1001. The King Crab Festival for just $165. From New Sagaya, 1-800-764-1001. Or order on the web from newsagaya.com.
There's a lot of so-called experts out there claiming to have the key to success in business for a price. Are you ready for real business advice you can trust without a fee? Then don't miss Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Advice from people in the know. Technology, finance, taxes, and more. Business people helping business people take their skills and services to the next level. Getting Down to Business with David Weatherholt. Saturday from 8 to 10 a.m. on Hot Talk, KOAN, 95.1 FM and 1080 a.m. You're on with Fagan and Biegel on Hot Talk KOAN.
The Odom Corporation, Alaskans serving Alaskans for 80 years. Always live responsibly.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning on the Talk of the Valley, KVNT, 92.5 FM, 1020 AM.
Imagine if the world had stopped.
817, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron, right here on KOAN, KVNT. We are streaming on danfagan.us. Our good friend Keith Montanak is up and running and ready to take your vehicle and make it run in tip-top shape, as he always does. His team over there at Specialty Truck and Auto, they're the very best in the state. I've been talking about Keith for years. I think he was not my very first advertiser, certainly one of the top 1 or 2 or 3, and never in all the years I've been doing commercials for Keith Montanak, I have never had anybody come up to me and say one negative word about him. And that's the way he lives, an exemplary life. He really does. He devotes himself to helping veterans, and he's a great mechanic. His team that he's assembled, great team. Go see Keith Montanak. All of the mechanics that work for Specialty Truck and Auto are ASC certified. He's right across the street from the Long Branch Saloon off of Abbott. Here's the number, 349-1637. 349-1637. Our number, 569-1080. 569-1080. The winter is beginning to dry my throat out. Do you guys have problems with that, with the dry weather and the...
No, I just have a problem clearing my throat. Not though with cold weather.
Have either one of you ever had a humidifier?
Yeah, we've got one going.
Really?
I've noticed it.
And what does that do? I'm thinking about getting one.
It helps to keep the air moist. It's not so dry.
Okay.
Especially when you're susceptible to colds or you're getting colds, and it helps to.
Do you put stuff in it?
You can.
Like
I
what?
think I don't.
They have scents that you can and mentholyptus.
Yeah, I have a feeling
Isn't that
my
right?
husband shoved some Vapo Rub in there because it does distinctly smell like that.
You
now.
often suspect your husband of doing things like this without consulting
Well,
with
I
you?
think he thought it would work, but it really just gooped it up.
And you think that he did not consult with you because he didn't want to test his theory against a sounding board?
I mean, this is a guy who, well, his family used to shove it up their nose.
Oh,
and,
my gosh.
And eat it, just, because, I don't know.
Eat it?
I think they used to ingest it when they were sick. But if you
Play-Doh's way better.
But if you're ever coughing, it really does work to
Play-Doh's
put that
salty.
Vapor Rub on your feet. and put
Coughing?
socks. Yeah, like if you've got an attack of coughing, you put that vapor rub on the bottom of your feet and then put socks over it. It's instant. It helps so much.
I bought this little floor heater that I use just to kind of, if I want to get warmer. And once I started using it, my throat, this is like 2 days ago, my throat started getting dry.
Mhm.
You think that's
Oh,
related?
definitely.
Oh, is it really?
I would say.
Oh, okay.
Go down to
learn
Bed
something
Bath
every
and
day.
Beyond. They have really nice humidifiers. One of them you can take a regular bottle water and just put that on there. That way you never have to worry about. You just grab a bottle of water, you're good to go.
What do humidifiers cost?
$20-$30,
Seriously.
or actually 30 to 70.
Wow.
Yeah,
I have a really
think
old
I
one.
think you can get into higher end ones. Oh, do you have the
I have
one
a
with
really old one.
It's not a vaporizer type humidifier.
I don't think so.
Oh.
I just had to change the filter after like
Oh, yeah,
20
yeah.
years.
You've
or
gotta-
something. I noticed it was a little cruddy.
So much is where you're from. You know, in New
Mhm.
Orleans, it's so humid. And I grew up in that. You know, you walk out of New Orleans at 2:30 in the morning in the summer, and you're literally, after 45 seconds, drenched in sweat.
I cannot imagine that.
Yeah. And so you try to stay away from humidity at all costs.
And don't you get colds a lot more there because you're going in and out of like air conditioning and then into outside?
No.
Ooh, that would bug me.
Yeah.
Growing up with asthma, my mom always had a humidifier.
Oh, is that right? That helps.
around for us. Yeah. And a vaporizer. What'd you call it, Glenn?
A vaporizer.
Yeah.
That sounds like make you disappear or something.
I know. It's like
it does make you disappear.
Star Trek.
Yeah, exactly. Well, now, this is one thing that I always notice people complain about the humidity, but it didn't prevent you from riding your bike 10 miles whenever you wanted to.
As a kid. No, I don't mind. I don't mind the heat so much. You know, the thing about the humidity is if you're out doing something and you're active, like the wind. If you're on your bike, the wind's hitting you.
Okay.
So it's not bad. If you're water skiing, if you're in a pool, if you're doing that kind of stuff, it's not that bad. I remember football practice in the afternoon was torturous.
Oh yeah.
You know, because you're in the full pads and it's 95 and it's humid and that kind of stuff you remember.
I remember
Cutting the grass.
seeing an outside pool for the first time when I was
Really?
little and just being in awe.
Wow.
They have pools outside?
Yeah. Well, there was nothing better than 8 o'clock on a summer night in New Orleans jumping into a swimming pool because it was like a sauna because the sun had been beating on it all day.
Ugh.
And the temperature had dropped a little bit. And so the water was warmer than the outside. And it was really nice. I used to run a lot, and then I would jump in the pool after I'd run, and that was just such a great deal.
All right, let's all move.
We can get a pool up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of like how I'm real stubborn on I don't wear jackets because I don't want Alaska to boss me
You don't
around.
wear a
To win.
swimsuit?
I think it's the
You don't wear a
word that you
swimsuit,
use.
you just go.
No, my point is
Wait
I
a minute.
refuse indoor pools
Oh.
because that's not the way
What?
pools are supposed to be.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it is. I don't want Alaska to win.
All right.
I'm a winner like Charlie Sheen. Winning.
That is a funny clip. That is a messed up dude, huh? Is that
Well,
what
he's a
happens when
drug
you
addict.
have drugs your whole adult life? And
I mean, you know,
I can't imagine the women who have been around him trying to deal with him.
Lots of them.
Yeah, and he has lots of women around him, and this is the difference between men and women, I guess. I don't really get what you guys are looking for in some nutcase like that. You
Those
just
girls are like, hey, free drugs.
Yeah,
Oh,
don't,
is that
don't
what they're
include
looking
me
for?
in that.
All right.
I'm not those women.
So
Yeah,
you
he
don't-
doesn't date nice church girls.
No.
Aw.
Why would you want to do that? I'm joking.
Hey, what do you guys make of Amanda Coyne's got a piece on all the new people who have been announced as part of Governor Walker's cabinet? And I had some thoughts on Marty Rutherford because I've met her one time and I was involved in the Palin process. But do we know any of these other guys, Craig Richards or anybody else? I think there was some confusion about him. He's the Attorney General pick. And most people are thinking that the job of the governor is to pick the person who's the most qualified. But that's not
for AG.
Yeah, for AG. But that's not the case for any of his picks. You're supposed to pick people who are qualified, but not the most qualified, because the Attorney General is not actually his own person. He is the person of the governor as the lead law person in the state of Alaska. So you're not really looking for the greatest law person around. You're looking for the person who most reflects what you want them to do.
But it's not that way in every state, correct?
No, most attorney generals are actually elected.
Right.
Yeah, so that's very different, and it's one of the reasons why we have such a powerful governor. And he's got a line out of veto, which is a big.
And I had a question about that, actually. So Sean Parnell submitted a budget, correct? And then Walker can choose to veto things or go ahead and, either reject it or accept it. What kind of changes do we think he's going to make?
Well, he said at our debate on the Friday before the election that he was going to pretty much just adopt Parnell's budget because it's got to be passed by a certain time, and I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, this is what they mean by that, by the way. The governor is constitutionally required to produce a budget for the operation of the state for the next fiscal year. Now, the next fiscal year starts next July. So Parnell produced a budget from his administration. That will just go forth as this is the starting point.
Yeah.
Then the legislature will discuss it. They will debate it. The governor can come and ask for this, that, the other thing. But
that's just the beginning of the process.
Yeah, it's just the beginning of the process. So it's not like this is the budget that we're going to have for the next year, for the year starting in 2015 through 2016.
The one thing that's important to people understand about Governor Parnell, while it is true, the last 3 years of his administration, he cut significantly the budget. But he had a legislature that was cooperative. When he had a legislature that fought him, the bipartisan coalition in the Senate, he let them lead and did not use his line out of veto pen. And we had astronomical budgets. And at the very core of why he didn't get elected is that. You can't, and he would blame the bipartisan coalition, but you're the governor. And that, in the end, is whether you're going to be successful as a leader is if you lead. And you can't make excuses because, well, I'd lead, but I'd have to have a fight if I led. And so the only way I'll lead is if I get everyone agreeing with me, then I'll lead. And that's basically what he said in the end. And to most Alaskans, I think, or to enough Alaskans, that was unacceptable.
Well, do you think it's because he might then have had to explain himself and he doesn't like to go there?
I don't think he likes a fight.
Right. Yeah.
I don't think he likes a fight. He never has.
I agree.
I think that's why he didn't fight to reduce the price of the crime lab. I think that's why he didn't fight to remove Nancy Dahlstrom and Gene Theriault from their illegal positions in which he put them in. I don't think he likes. He's not a fighter.
Well, Dan, the best example of that you haven't brought up. The best example of it is he didn't fight Bill Walker.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Right? He never even showed up.
Well, and he didn't defend himself.
He didn't think he had to run a campaign. He didn't understand that in a campaign you get to explain what you've done. You get to make your case for what you want to do. You get to provide a vision, and then argue for it. And that's your job while you're running for office. He didn't want to do that job. That's why he didn't get elected. He didn't do his job. His job as a politician, his job as a candidate, tell us what you've done, tell us what you're going to do, tell us why it's good. He didn't even try.
And I've heard more from him now that he's gone than I've ever heard from him while he was in office.
He fought for the last month, but it was not enough time.
Yes, but I mean, he's putting things out on Facebook now that are so classy and, wonderful. But why didn't we hear more of that while he was actually in office?
Well, it was the biggest mistake, and I'll tell you what would have happened if Parnell was up 60-40, which is what he should have been up. Walker Malott would have never happened. Never. Malott would have said, "You don't have any chance either to beat Governor Parnell. Why in the world would I give up my entire party platform and everything? And by the way, I don't know about anybody else. I don't see a lot of Democrat appointments, and that's one of the things I want to know." That's one of the things I'm trying to figure out.
You don't see a lot of Democratic
I see a lot of Palin appointments, but not Democrat appointments.
They're all Democrats.
No.
Who's not?
Marty Rutherford wasn't a Democrat.
Seriously, she's an absolute Democrat.
She's an populist person,
Democrat.
but not a Democrat.
Yes, she is.
Oh, well, that's what I wanted to find out. That's why I asked the question.
829. Stay with us.
I wanted to find out. That's why I asked the question.
FM and 1080 AM.
Local news, weather, and the Dan Fagan Glen Biegel Show on Hot Talk. KOAN. Brought to you by Connect Country Liquor. With 4 convenient locations in the Valley and Talkeetna, you won't find a better selection.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
How's your cholesterol IQ? Well, take this short quiz and find out. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent. Here we go. True or false? Children cannot have high cholesterol. The answer? False. There's a growing trend in the United States with children being affected with high cholesterol, high blood pressure, even diabetes. Some research even shows the arteries of 8-year-olds can sometimes look like 40-year-old arteries. Next question, true or false? All cholesterol is bad. The answer? Again, false. We have both good and bad cholesterol in our body. The good cholesterol is called HDL. If that level is very high, it can actually help protect against things like having a heart attack. And finally, you don't need a cholesterol screening until you're middle-aged. If you answered false, you are correct. Current guidelines say that everyone should get a baseline cholesterol check when you're around 20 years old. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
Owning and caring for a home comes with a lot of to-dos. Tune up the furnace, clean the gutters, remodel the kitchen. Whatever your home improvement need, Home Advisor can help you find a pro you can trust to get the job done right. Go to home.homeadvisor.com for instant access to top-rated pros in your area, including electricians, handymen, plumbers, whatever type of home pro you need. And Home Advisor is absolutely free to use. At Home Advisor, you don't have to search through a long list of pros. With just a few clicks, Home Advisor matches you with pros who provide the exact services you need. You can read customer reviews of the pros, even use the cost guide to find out what hundreds of other home projects cost in your area. And because Home Advisor knows it's important to find a pro you can trust in your home, they conduct background checks on their service professionals. It's just one of the reasons more than 25 million homeowners have used Home Advisor. Go to home.homeadvisor.com to find the right pro for your project. That's home.homeadvisor.com.
When I grow up, I want to be a pro basketball player. An elementary school teacher.
No matter what dream you choose or where you are in life, Country Financial helps you and your family grow your own way.
Or maybe a veterinarian. A mom, a doctor, and president of the United States. Maybe an astronaut or, an Olympic gymnast.
You can grow your own way. We know some dreams take a little longer to achieve, which is why your local Country Financial representative offers helpful advice on everything from auto and home insurance to financial planning, education to retirement, and business insurance too, so that you can continue to grow and dream.
Or maybe an accountant, like my dad.
For more information, visit countryfinancial.com or call 1-866-COUNTRY. Country Financial. Grow your own way.
Glen Biegel, you have beautiful teeth.
I thank you, Dan Fagan. That's because my family and I have gone to Dr. Dan Kiley for years.
I get scared at the dentist.
Dr. Kiley knows people like you are afraid, so he creates a relaxed atmosphere at his office. People actually like going to the dentist for Dr. Kiley.
I know it's important to have good dental health.
And you look better with good teeth. And Dr. Kiley offers cosmetic dentistry along with general care.
Visit Dr. Dan Kiley at lakeotisdental.com. Call him at 562-9209.
You're on with Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Give them a call, 569-1080.
Fagan and Biegel, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on the Talk of the Valley, KVN.
Because I love you too much, baby.
8:35 in the morning, Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, body.us. Glenn, can you explain to me this Medicaid expansion that Mr. Walker, I'm assuming, is going to do this week? And I understand it's going to put an additional 12 to 14,000 able-bodied single adults on insurance, which is an expansion of the role of Medicaid. It's always involved disabled and elderly and
single parents.
Sure.
People with children.
So it's an expansion of the entitlement culture. It's an expansion of the welfare state. The feds say they'll pay for it for the first 3 years, and then about 90% past that. Of course, 18 trillion in debt. That means nothing. Why is this so bad?
Okay, well, here, this is what an expansion does. This is a key part of Obamacare. What Obamacare did is it subsidized people who made a certain amount of money up to four times the not the average poverty level. That's right. Okay, so like up to $90,000, you can get subsidized up to $90,000 of income, and you'll get a subsidy for buying your health insurance
through these exchanges.
Through the exchanges. Now, the expansion of Medicaid was a critical part of that because if you fell underneath a certain level, you did not get a subsidy. Mark Begich actually passed a law that said if you only made $24,000, you're not entitled to a subsidy.
You're talking about Obamacare now.
Yeah, you have to go on welfare.
Right.
If you make $24,000 a year, you're not entitled to a subsidy in order to get your health insurance through the government, a subsidy from. Okay, so that's why this is a key part of Obamacare, because they didn't want to cover everybody. In order to keep the numbers, the costs of Obamacare down, they actually wanted to expand Medicaid dramatically, and that's what this is. So the cost, by the way, per recipient in the state of Alaska for Medicaid, in order to give them health care, can be upwards of $30,000 to $40,000 per person
currently
who goes on it. So every one of these people, we are going to pay twice as much for their, quote, health care as they actually make in income.
No, the feds will pay it initially.
The feds are going to pay 100% of it. Our children will pay 100% of it initially. Now, this money is going to get spent anyway. It's going somewhere else. So this is the calculus from Walker is this. This is free money. Our kids are going to get stuck with the bill anyway. Alaska needs as much money as we can to try and keep the state of Alaska afloat. He's not really worried about putting more people on welfare, on health, federal welfare.
Becoming government dependent.
Becoming a dependent of the government. He's not worried about
12
that.
to 14,000 new government dependents.
Or if he is worried about it, he's less worried about that than keeping fat our hospitals, which is where 90% of this money is going to go, is into the hospitals.
But just for the record, and so everyone's clear on this, Governor Bill Walker's first act as governor will be to create 12 to 14,000 new government dependents.
Yes. Do you think everybody understands that?
I hope they do.
Do you think Eddie Burke understands that?
Do you think that they understand? Do you think that they understand that once the federal money runs out, it's going to be on us?
So after 3 years, my understanding is they pay 100% of it for the first 3 years, so $30,000 to $40,000 per person. You realize that's unjust, by the way.
So we are still paying it.
Yes,
we are
our
still
kids
paying
will
it.
be paying that, and our federal taxes pay that.
No, it's not just kids though. Because nobody cares about the kids.
Nobody cares about kids anymore.
Hell with the kids.
Hell with the kids. Down with the kids.
It is us right now who are paying for it.
No, well,
I understand what you're saying, but people
actually,
don't get it that way.
it's mostly wealthy people who pay. And your corporate taxes, you're going to pay some corporate taxes. Mostly our money doesn't go to pay for these programs. That's just the reality of the situation. Is our federal taxes don't go to pay for programs like this very much. It's mostly debt that pays for these federal programs. So anyway, after 3 years, the feds will only kick in 90%, and then we will be picking up around $400 million a year, which is about $700 or $800. It's about
we'll be picking up for. What does that mean?
The state of Alaska will have to pay $400 million a year, so that's about $600 per person.
How do you figure that?
In the state of Alaska, because it's about $4 billion is what Governor Walker has been saying.
No, but
the feds are they're gonna shove $4 billion into our hospital system here.
Okay.
And that 10% of that would be $400 million.
Because the 10% would be the amount we'll
have to kick in, yeah. Gotcha. And after that, and then I don't think there's any guarantees after 5 or 6 or 7 years. And of course, any of these programs could be dramatically changed.
And then
if we do start running out of money,
that could call this whole thing illegal, and then the state's going to be in real jail.
Well, what the Supreme Court will do, this is Medicaid that they expanded. It is part of Obamacare, but what the Supreme Court would do is say you're not allowed to get a subsidy if you're on a federal exchange.
Right.
That has nothing to do, as far as I understand, with Medicaid, expanding the Medicaid system.
Okay.
The governor can still do that. He can still put 12 to 14,000 Alaskans on our welfare rolls as his first act.
569-1080, 569-1080. Let's go to Bethany. Bethany, you there?
Looks like you lost her. We lost her there.
Okay.
Well, I know that's being debated heavily, and people on the left were they used two different arguments in order to assault the good graces of conservatives. First of all, well, obviously you don't care about poor people. Now, these poor people, from my understanding, are covered in large measure by other programs in many ways, and then if they're not covered by that, they're covered by charity, which is how I think people should be covered. If you can't pay for something, it's not that you go to us through the federal government or our kids through debt and ask them to pay for it. People give it to you if you're really needy, and that's the way that we do it, and they ask you to pay whatever you can. That's the tradition.
Now here's something that's important to note on this new creation of 12 to 14,000 welfare recipients from the Governor Walker. Once these individuals are covered in Medicaid, the state cannot back out because of a federal requirement called maintenance of effort. This requires the state to fund a program at the previous level regardless of federal funding. This could become another unfunded federal mandate. So once the state adds these 14,000 people to the welfare rolls here, or once Mr. Walker does, they're on for life. Doesn't matter what state, or doesn't matter what the feds do.
I wonder how Sarah Palin feels about that, because she knew when she, put him up there and she backed him and supported him.
Walker,
Yes, that he was going to expand Medicaid. And I don't think that's something she would have been for.
She certainly couldn't reveal that nationally and keep any credibility at all, because she would be signing on to Obamacare.
Right. And she has rejected federal money in the past. So, and that was one of the things I greatly admired. So I'd like to hear her thoughts on this.
I'm guessing that the chances that you'll hear Sarah Palin's thoughts on this are between 0 and 0.
It's very frustrating. I don't understand why he's doing this.
You don't?
No.
Well, have you seen his team?
I know, but
can you imagine
how can you call
revolt?
Yourself? I know so
What
many
would
people
Alice
who
Rogoff
said they
do?
voted for him, and they're conservative.
People say, what would Jesus, we need to start asking this state, what would Alice Rogoff do?
Right.
Oh, good question.
What would Alice Rogoff do if Bill Walker rejected 12,000 to 14,000 new welfare recipients?
I guess money
She'd
speaks.
turn on him. She'd turn on him. 844. She'd turn on him.
After a hard day at work and then shopping for the holidays, the last thing you want to do is slave over a hot stove. Well, don't worry about it. Relief from this hectic time of year is just a jingle away. Call 333-8000 and ring in the holidays with the Sicily Season Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. So relax and let Sicily's deliver hot, fresh, delicious pizza, pasta, calzones, wings, and salads right to your door. It's fast, easy, and affordable. Call 333-8000 and ask for the Season's Greeting Special. 2 large 2-topping pizzas for only $11.99 each. For the only 24-hour-a-day delivery in Alaska, call 333-8000 or save 20% by ordering online at SicilysPizza.com. Best ingredients, best pizza, Sicily's. Wishing you and yours a safe and happy holiday season.
If you're ready for the movies, there's just one place to go. Check out MovieTaker.com. It's showtime, movie times, previews, and more. Get tickets, inside. Lots of information to explore. Take restaurants. Now you'll know just where to go. Before and after every show. Check out MovieTaker.com. It's showtime.
You know, there are many people in Anchorage who have their own special place for gifts for occasions like Mother's Day or birthdays, anniversaries, whatever. Into Bell's Nursery and Gifts they go. And there's always something perfect. Bell's Gift Shop on Specking Road has a truly incredible selection of unique creative gift ideas. Crystal, glass, and china and flatware, a wonderful kitchen section, candles, lotions and potions, and of course delicious C's candies, and lots more. Great for browsing or finding that special gift. The gift shop at Bell's Nursery on Specking Road.
Hot Talk KOAN, man. You're on with Fagan and Biegel. 1080 KOAN. Fagan, Biegel. Weekdays, 6 to 9 a.m. The Talk of the Valley.
8:47 is the time here on this Tuesday morning, December 2nd. Wow, 8:47. Every time we get to the last segment, I think to myself, oh, this is the last segment?
Right. I'm always like, don't you mean 7:47?
Does this show go by fast for both of you guys?
No, it's very painful sitting here.
After about 7:15, 7:30, it seems to. The first hour and a half, I think fast. Maybe because I'm tired or something. I don't know.
So the answer to that question is no?
No, the last half seems to fly by.
But not the first half.
That's kind of, okay, yeah.
The first
that
half
makes sense.
So the first half is slow and drudgery.
No.
And the second half you enjoy.
Maybe so.
I enjoy the whole thing.
Not slow and drudgery.
I know Glenn was being sarcastic, which we have to point out to the listeners on a regular basis. Does it go fast for you, Glenn?
No, it does. It is the fastest 3 hours of the day, by far.
Yes.
You just don't even realize.
Except for Bonnie, the first half hour.
The first half, she's sort of tracking time.
Miserable.
Actually, when I think she starts losing track of it is after she calls her kids.
Yes, that's true.
Because she's got this one responsibility to do every day, and she probably reminds herself of it about 15 times every minute.
Like,
gotta call the kids. Gotta call the kids. Gotta call the kids.
Text the kids.
And then
Are you up? Are you up? Are you up?
And then once you text them, you can enjoy yourself.
Yeah. Is that funny?
It's off my mind.
Can't they sleep in until you get home?
No, not. They may not.
That's sad.
Because then they don't really get going until noon. So.
What's wrong with that?
So, Glenn, you made an astute observation, and it is this, that the team that Mr. Walker has surrounded himself is not necessarily the Greenpeace, pro-death culture, hard left, pro-union people, but they are clearly anti-producer, anti-oil, let's go to war.
They want to take over the oil industry is kind of the way that I'm looking at it. And I've heard inklings, and maybe sometimes more than inklings, from Walker that he has some difficulties with the oil industry, but I've also heard some very positive things here recently, where he doesn't want to change SB 21, where if the gas line is moving forward, he's going to allow the process to move forward, or he's not going to change the percentages. I mean, and again, you have data on all sides of the issue, so it's really hard to work out. I do know that the team that he's put around him, and this is one of the things I wanted to point out, Marty Rutherford and Mark Myers, I met with because I was part of the Palin, essentially running for office. I was one of her core members, and so I got to meet with them. And Palin was all about doing an in-state line, and she wanted to do that. I know for a fact that Marty Rutherford made the following argument. The state of Alaska gets more money if we go with a line through Canada than it does if we go through a line through Alaska. She made that argument, and she won that argument, and Sarah Palin flipped on one of the things, which was one of the keys for me being in support of her, and that I wanted a state line, an in-state line. I never thought we'd do the one through Canada. So that's how powerful Marty Rutherford is, but it goes to show how critical it is for her to get the maximum benefit for the state coffers rather than the maximum benefit for the people. I think most people in the state of Alaska realize having our gas line run through the state of Alaska is going to generate the most value for us, the most jobs for us. It's just going to be the best for us. She said, well, frankly, I don't care about jobs for Alaskans. I care about money in state coffers.
No,
that was the argument that she made.
That's so wrong.
That's the argument she made for me.
But that's not true, your assertion that the state line would have worked better. Yes, now, in light of the market, the state line's better. But the highway route in light of the market then was better. And the fact that the highway route would have been less advantageous for Alaskans because a smaller stretch would have been through the state, I just don't buy that. Not only did she flip, the producers flipped, everybody flipped. The market was clear that at that point in time, the best route was the highway route. The only people who didn't believe that was the hardcore backbone people who absolutely don't want to do anything the producers want to do. And it was basically a handful of people, Walker, Malcolm Roberts, Bob Lester,
me,
you, these hardcore backbone people who said at that time that we must do the Alaska route.
Yeah.
And then markets have changed, shale formation came, then everybody realized, no, we need to go Alaska because the market is in Asia. But it's not as though the Alaska route was always the prominent best route for Alaska.
I've always thought it was more infrastructure here in the state of Alaska, more jobs in the state of Alaska, and a possibility of a natural gas liquids industry, which is the real reason which I've been pushing that, even if we get zero tax.
But you can still have that with the route down to Canada.
No. They were going to take all the liquids. That was the key part of the. It was the key aspect of it was they have processing plants for all kinds of chemicals and things in British Columbia, and they really wanted the liquids. That was a key, critical part of it. But anyway, I never thought it'd be done, not because of money, by the way, but because I knew the environmentalists just wouldn't let us run it down there, and the First Peoples in...
There are pipelines all throughout Canada, Glenn.
Yeah, I knew the environmentalists weren't going to let us run it down there.
There are pipelines all throughout Canada.
And that they also had stopped the
pipelines all throughout Canada.
The oil pipeline that was going to come down from Mackenzie Valley.
There are thousands of miles of pipelines.
Yeah, but they're not involved with the First Peoples. Sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
The First Peoples never had their say.
Well, of course.
Those are all outside of all of their control.
That's absolutely not true. They've had to deal with First Peoples on many of the pipelines.
Mackenzie Valley Pipeline, they shut it down. It was started at a $1.2 billion estimated cost. It ended up at $7.2 billion, over $10 billion.
Pipeline running.
They did not have to deal with the First Peoples.
There are many of the pipelines they've constructed in Canada where they had to negotiate with the First Peoples.
Okay, well that you can continue to make the claim,
and you think that's not true,
and that's fine. Our pipeline was going to have to run through the same place that Mackenzie Valley was running across a problem with the First Peoples. Yeah. So I was always my opinion that the environmentalists and the First Peoples were not going to let us run it down through there, that it was never going to work, and that it didn't have anything to do with the marketplace. I always saw that the market for gas on the East Coast was much weaker than anywhere else.
I would feel much more comfortable with your argument if you said, this is what I believe, this is what I suspected, not as though that's a matter of fact.
That is what I believe.
Know.
That is what I believed at the time. That's why I supported Palin. Right. That's why I wanted to go through Alaska. I thought it was a much, much easier thing to accomplish than trying to run up against the environmentalists who I always believed were going to shut us down.
It sounded reasonable. I remember there was even a bumper sticker or something about Alaska's gas.
Oh, it's our gas.
Yeah, I mean,
Canada,
it's our oil, but
blank.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah,
and it did sound. I mean, everything she said sounded reasonable to me.
But then she dropped it. But it was from Marty Rutherford. That's what I wanted people to realize. But this is the other thing I want people to realize.
But Rutherford was right about it.
This is not a pro-abortion group. This is not a pro-environmentalist group. This is not even. I don't even see pro-union people here, which is there may be, and that's one of the reasons why
absolutely pro-union.
I wanted to ask is
it's 100% pro-union to its core.
Yeah, so these guys are gonna. If we do an in-state line, it'll all be union labor and things like that. That may be.
They'll bring in workers from Oklahoma en masse.
Well, here's my test for that, by the way, and it's probably different than your test, but I'll tell you what my test is. If they go for a state income tax in order to pay state workers more money, that will be my test, right? Because that puts the different people, that puts the union worker, all state employees are union workers, up against the people of the state of Alaska. That will be the true test for the Alaska First mantra that the group has picked up. That's my test for it. Even Parnell, I think, was probably going to cave on having a project labor agreement. Murkowski caved on a project labor agreement. I mean, the unions just have that much power. So my guess is that's not my test for it. My test is when they come for our money to give to state employees, that'll be my test for them.
We will see. We will see. Governor Walker was inaugurated yesterday. Do we know when he's going to add the 12,000 new welfare recipients? Is that going to be
I think they're
today or
still
tomorrow?
going through, because he just brought on somebody from one of his new commissioners who's like an expert in it.
I don't know. He has to go to D.C. tomorrow first.
No, Governor Walker said he's going to expand Medicaid, which will add 12 to 14,000 new welfare recipients to the state. No, or other the feds will give us the money.
I thought it was 40,000.
No, it's 12 to 14.
Where did the 40,000 number come from, though?
They published the 40,000 several times, but I think in
the
reality,
Alaska Policy Forum was reporting 12 to 14, so
yeah,
I tend to trust them. Now, it'll always be higher.
Yeah,
it's always going to be higher. But the bottom line is, you don't want to add anybody to the welfare rolls, right? If you're
implementation of Obamacare, here we go.
Yeah,
we're signing on.
Well, the states, there are many states. Has there been a Republican governor of any state that has done this?
Who has expanded Medicaid?
Yeah.
I think almost all of them have.
Oh,
yeah.
no,
we were an outlier. There are a few, I think.
No. The majority of Republican governors have not. I think maybe Christie was one of the.
Yeah, Christie definitely was.
Yeah, but I think majority of Republican governors did not accept expansion of Medicaid. I'm pretty sure about that. So you're not sure, or you just?
Well, that's my recollection. I mean, I'd like to.
Let's see.
I'd like to know what the number is.
John Kasich and Chris Christie.
Are they only two?
That's all I see here. Jindal rejected it.
Rhinos.
Arizona rejected it.
Rhinos.
Yeah. We'll find that information out for you. Have a great Tuesday afternoon, folks. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. right here, KOAN, KVNT. Dan Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. See you tomorrow. Fagan, Glen Biegel, Bonnie Cameron. See you tomorrow.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in to Fagan and Biegel in the morning. Be sure to catch them every weekday morning from 6 to 9.